I'm not gonna go that way. Relax. All right, good morning, everyone. We have forum present. We have Commissioner Biggs online, and I call this meeting of the Upson County Board of Commissioners work session to order. First item on the agenda is, let me get back to it. Discussion of the renewal contract with AmeriPro for emergency medical services. All right.
Yes, Chairman. So I'll take that one. So Ethan and I have been kind of working together. He was trying to get us, I can't believe it's been 5 years already, but it's been 5 years since this AmeriPro deal was put together. It renews at the end of this year. So we kind of wanted to have some discussions early on. I've got the contract. We put it in a little bit late into the folder there, but there's basically three things that I wanted to bring a heads up to on it. One was we talked about pricing. There is a slight increase in pricing. I think it's going to about 6 or 7%, 6.5% versus the normal 3%, and then there's a 3% after that. But they are going up a little bit. As you know, salaries and all are a problem for everybody. Ethan has worked out some of the staffing that we can staff it a little bit different, and I'll let him explain that, but that's one thing that I wanted him to explain. The pricing was one thing, the staffing was one thing, and then the chairman had mentioned more of a four-wheel drive or an all-terrain vehicle thing. Ethan and I had lunch last week. He's kind of got a little solution. He wants to talk to you about that, so I'll turn it over to him at this time.
So first of all, thank you for the last 5 years. It has been an honor. So as he said, we did work out a staffing model. I kind of want to talk about what we've done in the last 5 years. It kind of shows you where that price increase comes from. So in 2024, I had to give every paramedic on staff, which is you have 6 paramedics that are on staff, 9 paramedics that are on staff. You also have the 3 supervisors that you split between the 3 counties. I had to give, so we could keep up with competitive rates around the area, so we could keep it staffed. I gave each paramedic a $13,000 increase apiece during that time frame. We had put on a paramedic school during that time at no cost to anybody. We did that out of our own pockets. We put our own people through it. We paid for that through Faithful Guardian Training Center, which brought in additional staff to the area. Now we are, because of the national shortage, everybody around us is kind of going to a race to the bottom when it comes to pay rates versus what you can pay people, what you can afford to pay people. We're in a particular situation here because we're a rural county, but we are one of the first rural counties outside of what's considered the metro Atlanta area. So you're dealing with 12-hour shifts in Spalding that are paying $28, $30 an hour for paramedics. So they're 12 hours there, they are 24 here, more time, you spend less time at work there, you make more an hour, you get to spend time with your family. So that's kind of where we're competing at. What we did to kind of offset some of that price, and it's still an increase, is I went back and pulled some of your data that we've run since June of 2025 to June of 2026. And what it showed is that we can run what we call an ATRUC. It's still ALS. It's an Advanced Emergency Medical Technician. Since 2025, they have updated their protocol to where they can do nearly as much as a paramedic can. So when we took the call volume, 96.6% of your call volume can be run by that AEMT. So in that proposal, what we propose is instead of doing 3 paramedic trucks, we do 2 paramedic trucks with an ALS truck in that advanced EMT, as well as your QRV supervisor position that you split between the 3 counties. That would be ample enough coverage, and then you have your QRV to back up that A truck should there be something that they have to have that paramedic for. The majority of those that created that 3.4% difference in getting us to 100 was the use of fentanyl and morphine, which are narcotics. We get those out here more than we do all the other 11 counties that I have almost combined. So that's the main difference there. And then as far as the 4x4 truck, I know you said you mentioned, my answer is always yes to that if. But we have, just so happens we have to replace the QRV. So what I'm going to do is replace it with a 4x4 pickup truck. Have a camper shell over it, so if you do have to get to anybody that, let's say, that ambulance can't get to, They will have that available to us, but we also work really well with EMA. And Richard has done a fine job with us. If there's places that we can get to, they'll come out and help us build roadways and things like that. So we can
I'll just say, I look at all the counties around us, like you go south, you go to Taylor County, you go to Meriwether County, and you go to Kiowa County, they all run truck chassis four-wheel drive ambulances because they're a rural community. And a lot of times you don't need it, right? But when you need it, you need it, right? And so my very first week in office as chairman, I got a call from the county manager to tell me that AmeriPro was not going to work, right? And it's because of road conditions. And they had bans, there was snow and stuff. I was out riding around the county with my Dodge Ram, looking at roads, four-wheel drive. And so to me, that was not acceptable. It's not acceptable that we have someone with a life or death condition, and now we got to work through a problem set as how do we get to that location, where the answer should be, we know how we're going to get to that location. We're going to use this vehicle that we have. I'm not asking you to have a fleet. I'm asking you to have one, right? I'm asking you to never tell me we cannot roll. We pay for service, and it's life or death. That's it's emergency services. They have to be able to roll. And these little city van ambulances, that's great for downtown Atlanta, but it's not great if you're out near the Flint River, or even out where I live. Like some people's driveways, those things can't even get up in bad weather. So I think you have to have a vehicle that can respond, and not a vehicle that, hey, I got out here and I can't go. You need a vehicle that, if these are the conditions, this vehicle is responding with advanced life support capabilities to save people's lives. That's what we pay AmeriPro for, is to save people's lives. And every county around us who is not contracted out, that's what they have. That's what they drive completely. We have vans, we're servicing other counties with vans. I'm like, those counties are to the north of us and even closer to city life, but we're not. And I just had someone pass away on the road I live on, and it was his driveway. It was the reason he passed away, right? We have to have a capability. I need to know what that capability costs. What is the give and take? I can't look my constituents in the face and tell them we're not coming. And that's what happened my very first week in office.
I would say to that, it's not that we'll never go. It's that it may take us longer to get.
That's the problem. It's emergency response, right? I spent 34 years. That's all I did was plan for contingencies, right? You don't wait till, okay, now I got this condition, let me figure out what I'm going to do. You have the capability. I'm asking you for a capability.
So here's what I would say. I think they could price us one, and we'll get you the price for it. But my question, Dan, is when is enough enough? Like, do we need a helicopter? Do we need a jet ski? Do we need a boat? What do you, where do you get into that thing? I mean, I guess it's got to be a point.
I'm not asking you to
forward it versus.
I'm not asking you to go down the Flint River and with AmeriPro and try to save someone's life. I'm asking you to get up that driveway, all right, or to get down that to the creek bed where these people are at, right? And every other county around us has that capability. I'm not asking you to go something crazy that's not common to rural counties.
Do they all have that? I didn't know that
They have chassis, but they're not four-wheel drive. So they have the Type 1, Type 3s, but they're not a four-wheel drive. They're just the large boxes.
Give us a price.
I know the county commissioners in Taylor and Meriwether and Taller. Did not check the Taller, but I checked the Taylor. No, they have chassis, but they're not four-wheel drive. They're 4K. Meriwether County, 2 commissioners replied back, no four-wheel drive. Because if they had it, I was definitely gonna say. And they said, hey, yeah, we looked at it, and, cause in their, if they did, they have more unpaved roads
Yeah.
than we do. I mean, they're in Taylor County, sand or asphalt or mud, clay, very clay, so. But, I mean, I think you should, I guess what I hear the chairman ask, give us a price.
I was gonna say, we got that.
Because with that type of equipment, I mean, once you have the ambulance, right, the life cycle is not the ambulance so much as the chassis, right? You can lift that thing up and put it on a new one in whatever the life cycle is.
The other question I would have, Chairman, is do you want us to, is that something we want to buy, splost, and then we have it and then they will operate it, or you'd rather get a price from them to do it and do that? And this?
Well,
What do you
say
talk about?
what's that?
I would say no. I feel like if we're going to be paying a ambulance service a fee for services, then they should be able to
Okay.
provide those services.
Perfect. All right, sounds good.
Yeah, and we can provide that. I think, that's why I wanted to make sure that we had these conversations early, and not in November,
Yeah.
December.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because it takes.
And I think y'all do a great job, but I'm just telling you, first impression, initial impression, right out the box,
Right.
tell me we can't roll, that,
So
that was
we-
not good.
What we had before, I think all of us that were here were getting calls monthly, if not weekly, on ambulance services.
Yeah.
So it's definitely improved.
Yeah.
My question is, how does the process work, working with Richard and the EMA? Like, if you come into a situation, like he's referring to, how would you address it with Richard? Like, they have full drive
So
capability.
most of those, the rescue chief here is also on staff with us full time. So we have, me and Richard go back and forth here at every event. Me and him are on the phone a few days before. Hey, we got the snowstorm coming in. What roads are we looking at that need to be salted, that need to be primed before we get there? We actually have DOT come in and work, and he works with them to actually salt and brine the station pad there. So we get together beforehand. We work out a plan on what we can do on roads that we are gonna be able to get to, because during the snowstorm, I mean, there's times where there's roads that 4x4s are just gonna spin 4 tires. So we work out a plan on that. So we work really well together in time, and we've never run into a time where we said, hey, it's beautiful outside, it's sunny, or even light rain, where we said, hey, we're stuck here, we need this, we need that. We haven't had that happen. We have had once to where an ambulance got stuck in somebody's driveway because it sunk 18 inches when it hit it, because it washed out before we could get there. We had another ambulance come out there, we put them in the QRV, we had the patient on the road, and then we took off, so it wasn't that much of a delay there. But to your point, if we need him, we call him, and he's always there. But most of the stuff like that, in an ice storm or a hurricane, that's the only time where I would say, hey, we can't go out in this if it's 45 miles sustained winds. And that's the same thing that EMA uses, that's the same thing that fire uses, Thomaston Fire, your guys' fire, everybody uses that kind of standard. That's the only time where I would say, hey, we can't get to you until this passes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just kind of curious of the process and how you would address it if it did come up in the current situation.
Do y'all currently have any in y'all's fleet? Do y'all currently have any?
We don't have any,
capability?
we do not. We have one QRV, we have 2 QRVs that are 4x4s. One is in Jacksonville, Florida, and one is in Louisville, Kentucky.
And, I don't know if I heard the chairman specify if he, they make those vans in 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive type of scenario.
So ours are all-wheel drive, but they're not, they don't come in 4-wheel drive.
So what?
But the big ones on the truck chassis though, can we get those when they come in the
Yeah.
fold?
We-
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
That's where he was going, I think.
I'm sorry.
all-wheel drive, but they're not 4-wheel drive.
Yeah. So the ones you have now are all-wheel drive? But they're not, what is the difference between that and the 4-wheel drive?
The tag for me, man, I'm not a mechanic.
I consider all-wheel drive.
Yeah, the tag for me. It's all-wheel drive or it says 4x4 on it.
It's got a drive shaft going to the front axle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, but we may not have.
But you can, so
The
basically,
issue is they didn't roll.
That's
They
right.
didn't roll. So that's all I'm concerned is
Right.
like, it shouldn't be snow on the ground, we can't come, right? And that we have to, do all this coordination, come up with a different plan to get somewhere. All that takes time, right? And, again, I'm not talking about any of the service y'all provided
Right.
in the 5 years. I'm talking about my very first week in office when the county manager, not this gentleman, called me and told me they're not rolling. And I don't know all the circumstances behind that, but I was like, that's not good, right? That's bad.
Look,
And so, you know, we can go look at the QR, the quick reaction vehicle. We got time, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna get that
yeah.
regardless.
Okay.
yeah, he's.
So that, yeah, we need a new QRV, that's gonna
So,
happen regardless.
what is y'all's policy on road conditions and inclement weather?
So our written policy is that we have to keep our people safe at all times, right? It does us no good to respond
get
to an
there,
emergency
you
call
can't provide service.
and then we have to respond to another emergency call because we got an ambulance that tipped over and slid off the road.
Okay.
And that's gonna happen with any of them, which is why we work heavily with Richard on that. But the coordination with the snow this year was, hey, we're coming, but because of the road conditions, we're coming very slow so that we can be safe. We respond to everything within physical condition that we can get to, except for if there's 45 miles sustained winds. And that's all of our areas, all the fire departments we work with. We typically take what your EMA director has and we just implement it into our system. That way we all form, you know, it's different patches, it's one mission.
How many days even have y'all been where you couldn't respond, do you remember, in the 5 years?
None to where we did not. The only time that it was a possibility was when the last hurricane came through in October 2024.
So what I'm wondering was the information, y'all,
Yeah,
when I talked to
that might be
him,
Information transfer.
it's an information transfer issue as well, because he said, no, we were running, we were trying to get there, we might not have could have gotten there, but we were trying to get there, and so that's one thing I wondered too about when we went through a couple.
And some of that snowstorm stuff was literally, was Richard in front of us, you know, helping us cut trees and move trees
Yeah, it gets better.
and get us back over.
Well, let's work on the price on that, you and I'll get back together, I'll work with the chairman as well. Commissioner Biggs, I want you to help me with the staffing part, I'll send you the stuff Ethan has sent me, and I want you to look at that with me. You've got more of the healthcare background, I think, than any of us, so if you'll help us with that.
I do have some questions as far as the personnel.
Okay. You want those now, or you wanna wait till you get the stuff and look at it?
We can wait till we get everything
Okay.
together. That is fine.
If you'll just call me.
Yeah, I'll get you to get Ethan's number as well, Commissioner Biggs, and you can just reach out to him, or I can set a meeting up with the three of us, so.
Okay, that'll work.
So, one last
Yes,
question
sir.
I have is, can you clarify for us, can you get something that clarifies your all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive? I mean, I'm of the assumption if you have an all-wheel drive vehicle, it's four-wheel drive, you know, maybe one tire pulls up front, one tire pulls a slip front rear, but it's still a four-wheel drive vehicle.
Typically.
Well, I think it has to do, what I just read. Four-wheel drive has a transfer case. The all-wheel has just computers telling you, you know, when to engage what tire. I think that's probably.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that had to look at it.
I want to know.
Yeah.
How much does it
Right.
cost you?
I think it does, it's just not as, it can't go through as severe of terrain.
So all four tires aren't getting the same torque at the same time.
Right. Four-wheel drive
Probably not
obviously is made
high off
for.
the ground.
Well,
chassis, too.
I'm saying
Unless
most,
it's four-wheel drive low.
most
you
all-wheel
don't get-
drives.
That's like a
Subaru.
Subaru, all-wheel drive car, a Subaru.
I'll say it's just a tag that makes us pay more.
My wife has a Honda Pilot, it's all-wheel drive.
Yeah, Tory Flex. All right, buddy, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, this is Josh Ward, by the way. I brought him with me
Hi, nice to
today.
meet you.
He is our director of clinical services for the whole company, so if y'all had any questions about the AEMT bit,
I think that'd be fine. We'll look at it and work, Chris, you and I can work together on that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's.
And I'm gonna go ahead and do the four-wheel drive, 4x4,
Yeah,
or sorry, the four-wheel drive QRV, because we have to replace that one anyway.
That's at least more capability.
Yeah, it's
And then we'll
closer.
have that, I'll put an inverter in it so we can plug everything up, we can run a whole scene from it, so.
Perfect.
I have that for you, and then we'll price out the actual. So,
Can I ask one more question? I want to go back to the money.
Yeah,
So, 3% or CPI, whichever's less.
Right.
Total year over 5-year period, 15%
Yes.
increase. I mean, I know the vehicle's important, you know, part of the conversation, but money's important.
Right.
So.
And that's why I went to the AMT option, because it actually cut some of what would have went up down to where it was fairly swallowable.
5-year term. Is there any options for discounts, longer term, shorter term?
So I think the way it's stated in there, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it is a 1-year term that automatically renews
Right.
5 times. So we can, everything's negotiable when it.
So I guess what I'm saying, is there any savings for us over a 5-year period to enter, say, a 5-year agreement or a 3-year agreement?
I can ask. That's gonna come from my CFO.
Right.
So, he would slap me on the hand severely if I go, sure.
yeah, ask that for us as well. Because we've been pleased, right? We've been pleased with the service.
Well, at the time, it was a new relationship, so that's why it was built that way.
Right,
It has
so-
like yearly term.
If the commitment can be solidified for a longer period of time, can we save money? That's what I want. I think that everybody would try to want to.
Yeah, I'll definitely ask. That's fair. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Yeah, do it. Have fun.
Next up is update on construction project at airport.
Thank you, gentlemen. If you remember back in April when we were discussing this major renovation of the ramp taxiway, and we asked for a total of $265,000, and y'all granted that request. My original estimate on the time frame for this project was correct. It's not going to happen until summer of next year. So out of all the splosh that had requested, $226,000 of that will happen in 2027, not in 2026. Now, with that in mind, I ask you to consider a project that we have put on the back burner for years on our capital projects, and that is the renovation of the roof of this hangar next door. Paul got us in contact with Merrick, who came out here, did some repairs for us. They did a great job. But the bottom line is that building is 30 years old and the roof needs to be replaced. Merrick had 4 options for us. A TPO system at $125,000. R-panel system, removing and replacing the existing roof with the same kind of roof. And then 2 standing roof options, which go from $230,000 to $260,000. The building is 30 years old. Now the standing roof is that is the standard today. It comes with like a 40-year warranty, but it's twice as expensive. With the building being 30 years old, our airport authority asks you to consider the TPO system, which has a 20-year warranty. So that would mean that the entire building would be good for 50 years, and that's $125,000.
What is the TPO?
It's
Is that total, is that just replacing the roof?
No, it's infill metal flutes with EPS board and covered. It's a different new process, and it adds, you can put it on top of the existing roof. You fill in the channels on the R panel, and then you put this on top of it and seal it.
What was the cost to replace the roof when you found it?
$140,500 for the R panel system galvalume replacement. The problem with that is we can't get the warranties on that we can get on the other three options. Because
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't know what the maintenance history on that roof is.
Mhm.
Has there been a maintenance history on that roof?
it's been anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a year.
Well, my only question about overlaying is
Yeah.
the wind out here
Yep.
and everything else, 'cause this is a wide open place.
Yep, and
You
they
know.
they guaranteed that not to be an issue because we asked them the same question. And it also, all of the options also include new gutters and downspouts, which is part of the issue that we've had with rain getting into the building from the walls, from the top of the walls where the gutters would fill up.
So is the suggestion to go with that TPO just because the building itself is older? And you
Yes, it
potentially
is.
may not even get the 40 years out of the building,
That's
is what I'm
correct.
assuming?
That's correct.
Well, I don't think the iron structure is going anywhere. You know, you
It's
just
not,
have to-
and they,
You just have to tin it, you know.
when Merrick inspected it, they were happy with the iron structure portion of it.
And my only, you know, it's y'all's building. You know. I would just worry about that stuff, if somebody's overlaying something, that it'd come off down the road.
What was the price difference if you replace it versus overlay? Mitch, I'm sorry.
Up to 260. for the
260,
standard.
I didn't get
It was like 230 and 260.
Yeah, 230 would be to go over the existing structure.
Oh, I got you.
260 would be to remove and dispose of the existing structure and put new standing seam roof on it.
So only 30 grand.
So what's the warranty on the new standing seam?
40.
No, he said none.
I'm sorry, the
The warranty for the standing seam, the
oh, the
replacement?
warranty on the standing seam is about 40 years.
Oh, okay.
It's $20,000 difference.
30?
I would
20 more
have
years.
that. The question is, do you go from TPO to the standing seam? That's the risk.
You know, if y'all asking my opinion, the TPO roofs are big now. I mean, they've been big problems for people too. Yeah, I've been on top of courthouses that's had TPO roofs, that historical courthouses that we've had leaking. I got one in Meriwether County we're fighting with. If y'all been over there lately, we've done complete remodel of that. But for the value and for, if you're all looking at the useful life of that building, I think the TPO would be the best way to go for the cost savings. And it's a great product, like you said, you're sealing up everything before you put the overlayment. It's usually what mil did they specify on the TPO?
It's 60 mil.
Yeah, so you're getting a pretty thick, it's a membrane, basically, impervious membrane that they're basically putting, spraying adhesive, rolling it on there, and it creates basically a seal on top of the existing roof. It's lightweight, so you're not worried about any structural integrity. It's a great product, and a lot of people's using it, in a repair renovation, extending useful life. Now, if you're gonna say, hey, I want this thing to work for the next 80 years, then I would probably look at maybe doing a permanent solution, but, that's for y'all to decide what that building looks like in 20 years.
Need a new building by then.
You'll have some new commissioners anyway by then, right?
When Danny brings his big jet here.
And maybe a county attorney.
Yeah.
Me and James will still be here.
Without that.
Well, Mitch, can you write us an email to everybody explaining all that stuff? So
Yes,
we
sir.
kind of have it, and then we can address it at one of our meetings. Y'all want to vote on
And this is just SPOS.
Yeah, just be a splost.
Yes.
Right, I'll do that.
Thank you, man.
I've got one other thing that is not construction related. I don't know if y'all are familiar with House Bill 1434. Does that ring any bells?
Can you give me that number again?
House Bill 1434. This is something that was passed into law at the last legislative session. And
Yeah, I'll just get past it.
we are, it's a scary bill because it's dealing with airspace surrounding airports, but we're actually in pretty good shape. Jeremy was good enough to pull up our existing ordinances on, and they were put together when the airport was built. So Upson County may have to tweak it some, that Jeremy and I discussed, but the majority of everything that that thing covers, we are in compliance with. Now, I know that at your next ACCG meeting, it's going to be a big topic because there are ties to LMIG funding in this law. So counties will have to be in compliance. And it's actually FAA guidance to GDOT. So that's coming down from federal to state to us. But I just wanted to give that out to you and let you know that we're working on it. Jeremy was good enough to put me together the ordinances overnight. I just got this dropped to my lap on Thursday, and I took 2 days to look it over. I dropped it in his lap yesterday, and he's got me the ordinances this morning, so.
The only concern I had when talking to Jeremy about it was we need to potentially go to other counties, or what
Yes.
other counties have done could affect us.
Well, that's the issue that we're gonna have. We looked at an overlay map on Google Earth this morning, and we'll have to be in contact with Pike County, and Lamar County, and Monroe County, because our approach surfaces border and cross the line into all three of those counties. I feel like the best plan of action will be for Jeremy and I to try to get with these other building and zoning directors. Then, when we present it to their county commission, their building and zoning people are familiar with what's going on.
And it has to do with the height of the towers, or the height of that they allow structures in those counties, the way I understand it, right?
Yes, sir.
So like, if we're closer to Lamar, they can maybe can only have a 400-foot tower. Monroe could have a 1,400-foot tower before it affects us. But we need to make sure, I guess, that they've got things in place and how they're gonna build a structure that can affect our airport. It just always scares me when we have to deal with other counties.
Me too. It'll be my first time.
Yeah.
Tree growth too, building height and tree growth.
Right.
And then the affected areas need to be identified by January 1st, 2027, but then we would have until July 1 of 2027 to adopt protective zoning regulations. Is that what you?
Yeah, and GDOT sent them already the maps, so they gave them everything, and they have a software Black Hat Aviation, so they've overlaid what this map is, so we have those boundaries. That's how we know where it is. And there's percentages. What I was telling Mitch earlier was based on the ordinance we currently have, it just talks about in this area, it calls things different than what this is calling the particular area, so we may just want to make sure we fine tune some of the language to make sure it matches what it is, and that the percentages, because each one of those areas has a particular percentage of, so many feet per 1 foot drop, depending on where you are. We just want to make sure what we currently have matches what those numbers are, or they may even exceed those numbers, and if they exceed it, that's fine, that's just the minimum standard. And then making sure the other jurisdictions have something in their ordinance that says this area is covered by this, protection zone or whatever.
And also existing structures are grandfathered. So we're not going to be going to other counties and asking them to remove these. All right. All right. Okay.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What's happening next door?
They are restructuring right now. The owner passed away, as you may have heard, and he left us without a will, He has a brother-in-law who's a small business owner in West Virginia. And he has taken over to what extent he can until the status goes through the court system in Fulton County, which may take a while. But right now, he's paying the bills,
Yeah.
but they're not
operating.
They're not operating.
And that was another reason we talked about the roof, because we're not sure what,
Yep.
may get a new tenant
What
in there at
type
some
of
point in
business?
time. Go ahead and
If
take
they
this
don't
time.
come back, you can always use it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you got a waiting list, right?
I do.
Yeah, so. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, next up, EMC.
Good morning. Thank y'all so much for having me. Wanted to update y'all quickly on the existing LMIG project. As of last Friday, the contract was thinking they had about 15 days left to finish up in the county. I know we're at Jeff Davis right now, and I did forward the look-ahead schedule to the county manager and staff just because of school starting and trying to get out in front of that. So we're optimistic that the weather's going to hold up. We've had pretty wet summer. When it started raining, and the contract had to pull off a little bit, but we're still ahead of schedule. A lot of productions got taken care of this period. Hopefully you guys are proud of that. I know we've taken some complaints and some other suggestions from the commissioners and implemented that, especially yours, Mr. Evans. We got a solution in progress for what we talked about last week. So that's always, these dump truck drivers, sometimes they have a homing beacon to the shortest distance, and sometimes that's not where we want them to go. But we've got that resolved with the contractor. So that's where we stand on the current one. Any questions about it?
So when I look at Jeff Davis Road, I know they paved it, they striped it, and they leveled it.
They leveled it. So that one, that's one thing, that's that public outreach, I think, me and James
I saw them
Milton.
stripe it when they finished that. I was like,
Yeah, and that's a safety issue. So we
Okay.
require them, especially on these roads that's got, long amount, if it's in a neighborhood, very low volume, but with the amount of traffic that's out there at Jeff Davis, it's per contract, per DOT specs, that they have to do temporary striping. I think that's one of the, if we ever have an outreach mission, James and I could tell people what's the difference between leveling and topping and wear surface and intermediate, because we did get some calls, hey, this looks terrible, we're paying for this crap. Well, if you be patient, we're gonna put you a nice ride, and we're running the show buggy out there, so everything's going well with that. And it's going, as y'all know, with the bridge being open now and the connectivity that's going to have for the county, that was long overdue. I appreciate what y'all have done in the interim to keep that road in a safe condition and adding life, but now we're going to really have an excellent racetrack on the north side of town now. The next thing you'll be calling me, you'll be calling me.
60 mile an hour don't feel like it.
That's right, that's a moving ride. I'm at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, so I'm sure Commissioner Ellington's gonna be talking about some traffic calming devices and maybe some enforcement of the speed limit out there.
State patrol stays on there pretty good. It
Wow.
was before they started paving it.
That's right. Hopefully they'll get back out there, because I do see that as being, from a safety standpoint, if we have posted speed limits out there, they're gonna get a brand new road and they're gonna feel like they can drive it like a brand new road. So at the last work session I attended, we talked about, doing a supplemental to this current contract. I think James and I identified about 13 roads with y'all's assistance. We put that on to C.W. Matthews, and unfortunately for the first time in my career dealing with a paving outfit, they respectfully declined. Due to the volatility in the asphalt market, I think a lot was going on in Iran at the time, and a lot still going on in Iran. And from a top-down situation, they couldn't hold the contract prices. So Lonnie and I, we discussed putting together a supplemental LMIG package. That we've already done the work to build the bid documents. Let's put it on the street if y'all want to, and let's get a number on what it will cost us to add those roads. And then the other marching order would be for James and I to look at the 2027 picture and get the resurfacing, and then circle back to the restoration and stuff. With that being said, I kind of mentioned this at the last meeting, and I've got another agenda item that we'll talk about as well. I'm kind of blurring them all together because I think you talked about your infrastructure and your road network together as a whole, not compartments. But you know, it's been about 6 years since we did our original assessment on the roads only. You know, normally we're on a 4 to 5 year cycle. I think it would behoove us to get an update of where we're at and what, you know, we got to look at the roads that we paved in 2019 again, because, you know, they're not brand new anymore. You know, a lot of towns and, you know, a lot of the stuff that we did on the east side and northwest side of the county that we did as first 2 or 3 years, and then reassess some of those roads that were on the list but hadn't made it to the top of the list back then. You know, I'd highly recommend if y'all have the appetite to incorporate that into our next exercise. And then we talked about also adding the bridges and the culverts into that inspection. Rocky Bottom was one of those that would have shown up in inspection. Now, would we have got to it in time before a concerned citizen? We have no idea, but, you know, I dare say that's the last culvert that we have in a dire strait in the county, just because of, we know that a lot of that corrugated metal pipe was put in at the same time, and it has a useful life. You know, it's been around, I think what Rocky Bottom was put in
Probably
60s. So you got your money's worth out of it, but I think we're going to see that diminishing curve of some of that infrastructure that's been in place that long. We're going to see maybe not the extent of the damage that we saw at the crossing at Rocky Bottom, but the culverts and the inverts are starting to rust out, and that's just wear and tear. So, you know, instead of us being, and I know Commissioner Watson, you're big, but instead of being reactionary, you know, when DOT tells us we got to shut down a bridge or we got a culvert that's about to fall down, let's get ahead of it, start planning, and at least allocate some resources that we can get some repairs going. So that's kind of where we're at on the look ahead with paving and infrastructure from your county engineer side.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how much you plan, you're always gonna have these surprises, but the hope is to mitigate it as much as possible.
That's right.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. So, at what point in a pipe life cycle is it feasible to slip line?
Well, that's a very good question. I know we talked about that. You got to have something at the bottom to build off of, right? It can't be completely washed out, or in the situation at the northern culvert at Rocky Bottom, it's, you know, completely, you know, disintegrated. And if y'all saw the pictures, we got jack stands holding up an 84-inch pipe, which is probably worked for a long time. We don't know where they came from. Somebody was a pretty good country boy engineer to get that working. But
How many years they've been there?
but that's the things that I think we can bring to the table. The slip lining option, you know, we utilize that a lot on infrastructure, especially corrugated metal. You know, you're putting that in. But you know, there's certain criteria from a design and from a constructability standpoint. You got to have a little bit of meat on the bones to be able to utilize it. You know, it's not going to just go through a hollow ground that the molds are holding up, but that is a very cost-effective way to solve a problem, especially with the county having a majority of our cross drains and culverts are corrugated metal.
How much life, if you find a candidate that's good for it, how much more life?
It'd be like a brand new piece of pipe, 20, 25 years minimum. I've seen some that, you know, it's been in there as long as the technology has been out there. Yeah, it's basically I know you've seen it, we've seen the video.
Yeah.
They're basically pulling in basically a bladder, if you will, shooting it up with resin, heating it up, blowing it up like a balloon that sticks on the side, just like we talked about the TPO roof. It is creating a pipe within a pipe, and with the beauty of it, you know, you're only losing millimeters of capacity, and then you're getting structural strength and actually increasing the flow rate because it's changing your
Yes, smooth.
yeah, I was going to say coefficient of friction and get it real technical, but it makes it smooth. Thank you for bailing me out there. I'm keeping it on layman's terms.
Yeah.
But the smoothness which increases the flow rate.
So is the thought to potentially do an updated road assessment and incorporate this, or potentially is it like piecemeal it?
So I think, you know, the loaded gun that I'm dealing with, you know, I don't even think Mr. James knows where all the pipes are. You know, I think as we assess the roadways, it would make sense for us to be looking for cross drains and culverts at the same time. It's probably not going to be a 100% hit rate because, you know, some of these you got kudzu taller than the flight tower that we were talking about that we can't have around here. You just don't know. You try to look at the tributaries, you try to look at the ditches and the dips, if you will. And chances are you got a dip in the road, you got a pipe there. Some of it, as James and I know, there's pipe that don't make sense. They put them in there like, if Farmer Brown just wanted to put a fence in a pipe in to protect themselves 25, 30 years ago, so, but it would make sense from our standpoint to do that assessment, the roads and the culvert and bridges at the same time. And as y'all know, and James, mentioned when we did the DOT workshop, the onus of doing the bridge inspections are gonna fall back into us for reporting. DOTs are still gonna make their circuit, but they're asking us to do the more reporting and the uploading and some of that other information that we've got to have to stay compliant with DOT. And, just as, we talked about on the airport side, these are things that I'm sure that's gonna start coming up on LMIG funding mechanisms. That's kind of the strings. Hey, if you're not managing your infrastructure, we're gonna factor your money getting back to you because you're not staying compliant with the state level regulations. And
So I had asked Chris let's talk about this inventory, because I didn't want to happen on Rocky Bottom again. Let's try to get the culverts in there. The other thing, Chris, when I came here, we talked about it, but then I was kind of directed from a fire hose, but after I've been here a while, I do want to circle back around on the GIS system. And let's get that updated. And our holdup is, I guess, Ben's already got some stuff on one system, right?
That's right.
It's not the system that I used to use in the city.
Sure.
So you and I need to figure that out, but we really need to get everything labeled where these folks can log into a GIS system and click a button and it would tell them where everything is and what's going on.
And a brief, and I know we talked about that at the work session when we were in Columbus last time, but that's where I would love to get us to one day, where we have everything on a GIS model. We can click on Hollis Road, it will tell you the last time we resurfaced it. We've had waypoints with culverts, and then it's a real live app base where if you're riding down the road and you see a pothole on Logtown Road, you can stop, take a picture. Your phone is already geolocated to the world. You can email it to Upson County pothole, whatever, and it will send to us, and we can populate that. We can do an assessment. Okay, is it superficial? Is it something that, because a lot of times, our citizens are riding these roads more than we do. And if they start seeing cracks or deficiencies on the road, it might lead us to other major issues and can be that proactive like this. So we're using this in Rincon and Effingham County and other places like that, and they love it. It's pretty cool to have that. And then what we will continue to do is, as we resurface, we'll continue to re-update the GIS model. So you're just, as y'all know, I'm an engineer, so data means everything to me. So having all that data at our fingertips will get us into that preservation plan that I know Commissioner Watson wants to get us to.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
When did we pave West Morris Cross?
2022?
See that we did it. So it wasn't last year, it was the year before.
It was the 2022.
It's some serious cracking.
Is it?
Yes.
I'll take a look at that.
You noticed it?
Yeah, it's got a lot of trucks on it.
A lot of truck
That
traffic.
don't supposed to be on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all right, so, back to Rocky Bottom Road,
Yes, sir.
truck traffic.
It's posting up their trucks.
I know.
So is Delray Road.
So it's North Dale right
Yeah.
there. So
It's definitely,
all I like to do is post it. Your sheriff to enforce it.
And the sheriff's been out there some, right, doing it? And then,
He
y'all
talked-
got the whole road blocked now, right?
Yes, but
Until we
today
get
we was
it
blocking it, one come down through there and Toby was sitting there. He'd been out there for a while, hadn't seen nobody. Just happened
Yeah,
when we was barricading it off that day, here come one from Delray. He wrote a ticket,
good.
made him back all the way back out of there to Delray. He was headed towards Ben Hill. Loaded, we're loaded.
Yeah, we don't need that. But we got the bid package out, or getting close to get, y'all got it
yeah,
ready.
so,
We
so
just need to.
update on Rocky Bottom. So, the three of us, Lonnie and James and I, once this problem was identified, we mobilized quickly. It was not an intimate danger of any type of issues as we started hearing more concerns in the community and getting to a point of replacement. I think we made the wise decision to go ahead and stop traffic, especially because we knew that the truck traffic wasn't going to slow down no matter if you had a cop there 24/7. And then we brought two contractors in to just take a quick look at it. We felt like since we had a little time and we, I guess, good detours and alternate routes in that area, it would behoove the county to go to a bid setting. we're working to get the document to you, Lonnie, with dates and,
We should have that out this week.
yeah, we'll have that out this week, a quick turnaround for the bid advertisement. And, both contractors that we talked to said probably each pipe would be 7 to 10 day construction. We're in a good situation because, the county manager gave us permission for the county to purchase the pipe, which we can do, we can eliminate the sales tax system and the volume that we're buying off of a state contract, that's cheaper than, so
Well,
James.
and it was there and ready. I didn't
That
want to wait.
that was the first thing that, we were at lunch and we were calling Cherokee Culver, and she called us back immediately like, you're lucky I got it on the yard, and James said, we're locking it down, so he's already got it on his yard for us to,
Yeah, we
for
got
us to
that
get the
done.
contractor, so,
Both of them.
I'm hoping, don't quote me, 30 to 45 days, we'll have those roads.
And I got a citizen or two that has messaged that, we're making some comments on Facebook, and I messaged them, and I've reached out to them, and we're talking, everybody seems to be okay. But if y'all hear anything, let me know, but we're gonna try to get it turned around pretty quick.
Yes, sir.
But I just felt it was better to bid it, and let's make sure we
And
got
so,
it.
as y'all know, we've got the north and the south, what me and James are calling it. The north is the one that's got the wooden jacks in it, that's the 84-inch pipe that's basically egg-shaped. And then we identified the one more southerly, the 60-inch, that's, it's 72, excuse me. We really can't tell the existing size because it's so egg-shaped, but we're going back with a 72-inch pipe. But the invert's rusted pretty badly on that, and it's one of those things, we'd hate to walk off and leave that area, and then 6 months later, somebody says, well, why didn't you do? So, since we got the opportunity, and James felt like that made sense to get them both at one fatal swoop, and that's why we did that.
One other thing that's a little bit different, so Commissioner Ellington reached out to me about an abandoned well that was on the county right away, and you found another one as well, right?
Yes, so, I don't know if anybody's been here long enough, apparently, we learned that at, Skeleton Road and Fire Tower,
Yeah.
that, I guess they did a probe well to see if we could get some water production, and when it didn't produce the water that we thought, they just put a concrete top off and walked away from it.
Yeah, it had,
I had some-
too much radon.
That's what I'm about to say, and we fought radon at Thurston, so y'all know, that was another thing I remember, radon as well. So, so what we did with Lonnie's permission, we reached out to, a certified well, contractor that has the, certifications to do the abandonment and the true EPD process, and we're gonna move forward with James help to tear down the building, to fix the one that y'all brought up, and then we're gonna catch the one at, Fire Tower and Skeleton at the same time.
It was pretty affordable.
And they're both in District 2.
Imagine that, right?
Spring Creek.
And Jeff Davis.
And Jeff.
Yeah, that-
So we got that in the process.
Yeah, and, we're just waiting to coordinate schedule to get those done, because
And Chris, I'm sorry I questioned you over the weekend, when he James sent the text out about the thing to you, and it popped on my phone, CB, I thought, for some reason, he had copied Chris Biggs on it. So that's why I said, I'm on it. And then Chris Brown will come back, oh, I've already handled it, like I thought, I was like, oh, okay.
I just had to flex a little bit. Make sure.
Yeah, it's like, no, I got it, I was like, all right, thank you. I thought, that it was, I don't know, anyway.
The other culvert repair that we got going on, you kind of don't see, but it is the one that we did the emergency repair on, that's at Logtown.
Yeah.
It's scheduled to be finished this Friday. We had some delays. Apparently, a concerned citizen felt like they needed the pumps and equipment more than the contractor did, so they had all of their equipment stolen off the site.
No way.
And it took them, they filed a police report and everything else, or a sheriff's report, but it took them about 2 weeks to order the stuff back, to put the bypass back in, but they're still scheduled to finish this week.
They find the equipment.
No, sir. They found a replacement, but they didn't find what got stolen. So if anybody, if a 4-inch pump showed up at a pawn shop in Upson County lately, it might be some coast contractors.
Feral people.
Yeah.
Chris, just a little side note, the Thurston, church situation, I think Nash was going out there. The preacher wanted to see the layout of what, how we were wanting to pave out there and get that taken care of, and I think Nash was going out there today.
That's what, I talked to him on my way over, and
Okay.
I knew that it was in progress, so I knew it was gonna happen this week. So hopefully that'll be the last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah,
We can
hopefully.
at least get that road paved for Ben and get that access connected to the road.
We don't have to, that's gonna be separate.
Yes, sir, but we're doing that, because we're gonna set the rock and do a little more, so it's not gonna be on the resurfacing contract.
And we can add to what Ben was concerned about as well during that time. That one, what was that? Was it Heather? Is it Heather Drive?
Well, Heather, we decided that wasn't on the county right of way, so,
Is that the right one, Ben?
Yeah.
yeah. So we basically chased that rabbit 9 ways from sunset, and there was a deed that kind of showed up that the landowner actually brought to us. It wasn't even, we couldn't find it in the courthouse.
Yeah,
That
you told me that.
that dedicated, you know, basically, we're paved on almost the private property where we're at now, so.
Okay.
So where our joint is,
I think
it's,
the thought was he would potentially deed it back.
Yeah, he would deed it back to us.
and that was the question that we had, you know, that would be the expense if the county wanted to build a road back in there from where we're at, so that's open for discussion if they wanted to do that.
I believe it was originally at one time when the subdivision was developed, which was in 92. They run the water line all the way down there.
Yeah.
Right.
Fire hydrant in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
That's right.
But somewhere where this land got sold,
Yeah,
he took ownership of the road.
that's right. And there is a plat that shows that it goes all the way to the end, and that's where we kind of started struggling with it. He said, well, hey, I got this, and it showed that there was a deed. It wasn't a plat, just a deed that, yeah, they gave him 500 something feet of that road right there.
Yeah, my only concern with it was it looked to me like in the subdivision that we had paved, if the county paved that, we paved as needed to those houses.
Yeah.
Right, so if we had paved as needed down that road, and now there's another house down the road, is it fair for us not to
Sure.
to get to that house as well, if that's what they're gonna do? And so that's kind of where I was trying to figure out, you know, what like they paved it, what like the guy who built the subdivision paved it and then dedicated it to us. We actually physically went every few hundred feet that needed it
Issue
and added to the
driveway
road.
permits and things like
So I
that.
think that's where we were, I guess I'd have to discuss it, but that's where I was coming from.
But right now, it's county, it's not county property.
It ain't county property now,
Yes,
so
sir.
we're good.
No, we're stopped, we have ended our pavement at the county's obligation.
Perfect.
The one you concerned about is that house farther down
Yeah.
on the right, which they just got a section that somebody did.
Right.
See that road, that section of road is private, belongs to, you know, across the road.
All right, perfect.
All right. And regarding the 2027 package, you know, we kind of talked about doing maybe a special work session for roads. You know, we've got the maps together, you know. If I would prefer if y'all want to do it, the assessment, let's do the assessment prior to that, because I think that's going to be our guiding light. But if y'all want to do something sooner, we're available to, at your discretion, to do whatever's necessary.
How long is it gonna take to do the assessment? That's gonna take several months.
Probably 60 days or so at minimum. And I do know the 2027, you know, request from DOT's out, which, you know, we've got plenty of roads that we haven't paved that we can qualify for the funds, so I'm not worried about getting a list up for the 2027 LMIG. It's just the timing of another resurfacing project and restoration project.
Yeah, I think let's do the inventory and we'll look at it. If you need roads in the meantime,
We can take,
take part of the list and bring back to these guys and they can decide yea or nay on the LD or however you want to do it.
does the commission want to move forward with a supplemental for 2026, the 12, 13 roads that we identified at the last work session?
I think if we've got the funds, yes.
We gotta bid it out.
Yeah, we'll do another bid package, but we take those roads and do it.
That's right.
Well, just a question, so if we add those roads into our 27, probably get a better deal, right? I mean,
Depending.
Depending, you know, depends on, you know,
well,
I gave up predicting oil futures a long time ago, because I remember when we were buying asphalt for $84 a ton, and then next time we bid it out to
The best case
123.
would have been to add it to our current package. Obviously, that's not gonna happen, so instead of going through 2 bid processes,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's just whatever the temperament is.
we would already have identified these roads to carry forward.
Yes, sir.
And then that way, you know, but once again, you know, these roads that we identified, I know on different things, Thurston, that's road building, that's something totally separate.
Yeah, that was outside of what we were going to do anyway with that.
Does any of the other roads fall into that category as road building?
No, sir, everything else was research. It basically was complementary roads of what we already had going on. And traditionally, like I said, we would always add up to 10% was kind of been our MO as things came up. But this was the first time that CW just couldn't honor their contract prices. And I was, hey, they did the same thing in Meriwether County, they did the same thing, and another contractor did the same thing in Marion County, it's not just us. And basically CW, when I talked with Mr. Paul, one of their VPs, he said, it ain't just y'all, it's the entire state, that they said, look, we're not adding any more tonnage to what they already had bid out after 6 months or so, just because the volatility was there.
Thank you.
The other thing is the Parks and Recs master plan that's working in the background. I know we're working off of
I
that
gotta
budget.
follow back up on that myself, that's right, on the budget part of that.
We're pushing forward, it's about time for a meeting. I know the
Yep.
director reached out to us and kind of want to get some status, so that's where we're working to get to that status meeting.
Yeah, I'll get with you in the next few days on that.
Okay,
So
perfect.
can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Parks and Recreation. So, joint project, Parks and Recreation. So are we including, I mean, are we including the city in on?
Yeah, I've had conversations with Russell and everybody on that.
It seems like when we get together.
Then they don't want to do their
they're
part.
Like, well, we
Yeah.
know about this, and, you know, because they should be sharing some of the costs.
That's right.
Joint projects of this, even producing this plan.
That's right.
So have we got the buy-in?
Yeah, they got to buy in. That was the whole thing on the, when we're talking about the concession stand, was that we didn't have kind of a plan. So yeah, and I'm talking with Russell about it. One thing I am going to throw on him, which we've gotten three prices, a couple $100,000, $219 I think was a little bit on replacing the basketball floor. So kind of before I brought that to y'all, I kind of wanted to talk to him and make sure they were going to be on board with it. So I'll do that today. He's out of town this week, but I'll do that next week. But yeah, I've been having conversations with him about the whole thing. So, they've been extremely excited about the direction of the rec department. I mean, I get texts and calls from him all the time about Eric and how great it is. And, you know, they didn't get one phone call this year for the swimming pool, for the law enforcement part of it. I mean, they've just been ecstatic, so.
How far away are we from completing this plan to be able to present?
I think we need some more input.
Yeah, I think we're a ways away.
We're-
Yeah, I don't think it's anything we're gonna have in 30 days, like we.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is that our next joint projects meeting,
We could.
We can give an update. for
Yeah,
sure.
we can
maybe
sure
have
give it.
Chris there to present
Yeah.
Yeah,
some of this
That's kinda where
stuff,
we
so
are.
everybody's on the same page. Because
Is that this
oftentimes we
month?
find out a lot of people
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, there's one this month.
Maybe
We'll
not
see.
this one, but next one.
well, maybe the next, yeah, but before we get too far down the road, we will, for sure.
Conceptually, do we have anything on paper? Or?
So, no, so we've got
You had one
basically,
meeting.
Yeah, we've had a brainstorming session
Yeah,
essentially. The
we've
question
got the
on
parcel
James was
symbol.
trying to figure out more property,
yeah,
so.
that's what we're doing.
If you're trying to get more, like so the question is, we really need room for softball fields and stuff, almost building a whole other soccer complex. But we were looking at the
That's right.
property going out toward Night Trail or somewhere out that way. The one on the corner was,
Be careful.
yeah, exactly, like, we don't know, so we're just kind of looking, and so we were talking about pulling in some of the land in the city, and then our concern is trying to figure out what we can stomach, right? So you can do a master plan that's $50 million, or you can do a master plan that's $4 million, you know, what does that look like? And so that's kind of where we were. So I was letting Eric do some of it, Nash was helping me, Nash got to the meeting, and he was looking at some of the stuff.
And we were really working with Eric on the programming and in anticipation of the needs, you know, trying to look in that crystal ball and see where the direction of the program was going so we can plan the facilities correctly. But I think soccer would be, you know,
Soccer was one of the main
one of the
things that
main
we
things
really
we
need
talked
to try
about.
to, you know, we kind of got some temporary lights out there during the time, so we kind of worked out some of that, and the soccer's fine, but we knew we had some drainage problems on the field, and if we could just get a whole nother spot, that was kind of some of the stuff that we were looking for, because then we could use that property for softball.
Yeah,
or
it's the
whatever.
first thing that opens you up to be able to kind of reposition some stuff. But
Just to move that, and you know, that's kind of what drove the conversation when we did the irrigation project on the existing soccer
That's
field.
right.
So it kind of opened up. One other thing while I have the floor, if y'all don't mind, as y'all know, about 4 weeks ago, I accompanied Ben Berryhill to the American Public Works Georgia chapter convention. Thurston Well won first place in the disaster relief award program. Very proud of him and his team, and Brandon was there. So just wanted to pass off those accolades and the support that the commission gave on Thurston Well. It was created resiliency in the water system in Upson County. And I'm very proud of Ben and his team for that accomplishment. And I know they got a good photo, and it was fun to be there to support them as well. So.
I saw y'all cheesing it
Yeah, peacocking out there a little bit, you know. They clean up pretty good, I'll tell you that.
up. Pretty awesome.
So that's kind of 3 design awards that Upson County won in the past 2 years. So congratulations to y'all support.
While we're talking about being in water, I did talk to Brian Jack's office, and there's possible funding available if there's any things that we can do to make our water system be more resilient, put more fire hydrants in, those type of things. They want to know what kind of project we got.
Another thing that Ben and I would work with too, you know, if y'all been to any meeting on the state and local level, you know, PFAS is being talked about everywhere. Locally, with our supply, we're pretty good. I'm dealing with some community that's doing, pulling water out of the rivers and doing the treatment there that we're coming up with programs. I just had a meeting in Harris County last week about it. So that there's money for at least just prevention and testing. So those are things that on our radar to kind of keep an eye on.
So on the water thing, Chairman was mentioning, Chris, I talked to Ben, we don't really have a water expansion plan.
No.
But is that something we could come up with fairly quickly for this, if there's money maybe available? Or
That's kind of what
we
we talked about, is, you know, going in, looking at future demand and where we're at, and, you know, we got the permitted capacity to do more, maybe identify some areas where we can increase service, or at least get some redundancy in service, and so that's kind of where we're headed.
Our water system is sort of isolated to
Yeah, that's right.
That side of the
that
world.
side of town. A majority of it is in District 2, not all of it, but I guess if there's funds available, we just need to sort of have some kind of idea. First of all, funds won't be available forever.
That's right.
So we kind of, I don't want to be selfish here, but I'm going to be selfish here. District 2, I mean, it makes sense to expand the water system closest to the source.
That's right.
So, you know, if we don't do anything else, but, you know, and it's going to be difficult. I've talked to people out there, people that's on wells are happy, they don't want to change, but if we can run fire hydrants down road.
That's what we were talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, and tie in, I mean, because we got, basically, where Chairman's at, where I'm at, or majority of my constituents, we got a water line kind of just going around us.
Yeah.
And we got all these crossroads, and if we could just go in and put fire hydrants in some of these places. Right, it would always be an opportunity. I think that when we talked about something similar like that, well, it does make sense money-wise because people don't want to tie them to it. Well, look, people don't want to tie them to something till they need to tie them to it. And if it's available, you tie them to it. Like me, for example, you know, I'm great when my well's working, but when it's not working, I wish I had county water. But once I looked into that, and I found out I had the county give me a call, so it was like, man, I can't pay for that. I can't pay $10,000 or $12,000 to have a line run down to, you know. So I think if the infrastructure's there, growth will naturally come over time.
Well, the other thing too, the fire protection would help everybody's insurance.
Yeah,
rates.
that's what I'm about to
Another
say,
thing
yeah.
we were talking about, fire hydrants.
That's the big thing, is, you know, you start putting fire hydrants in people's, you know,
Areas.
home insurance starts going down. You know, another thing that was forward with the previous county manager, you know, I think there's some subdivisions that's got some wells that, you know, that might get, if we could get to a situation, maybe look at taking on some ownership or purchase of them to get those water systems, and we can create some demand there too. I know I think there are 2 or 3 subdivisions that we could at some point in time. That could be an opportunity. If we wanted to grow the system, you know, that's
There's some engineering things.
oh, I'm sure, you know, that's just, hey, this is a dot on the map, this is a potential. We haven't done any assessment. We know how the Lincoln Park lift station has turned out to be, you know, one of those gifts that keeps giving.
We doing that thing yet?
We are ready to do a startup. The contractor had to cancel the startup, but everything's out there, everything's in the hole. Me and Ben's been out there a couple times and had some false starts, but I think the last I heard, towards the end of the month, we're gonna do a full drawdown and start up.
That was a slow.
It went very fast. The bad thing about it is our project manager, he ended up getting throat cancer again. And he's out for like 3 months. Now, that's not our problem, you know, that's the sympathetic side, but he kind of went missing, and I thought the man died, to be honest with you. It was that bad. And, but finally I got a hold of Frank Scarborough, and he was able to get us back on track. But yeah, we did all the work in like 2 months and then no work for 6 months.
Right.
It was one of those typical projects that you run into. The only thing we do need to talk about that one on Lonnie, they sent a change order to do the gravel instead of the grass in the yard, and I think that'd be a good betterment if we can talk.
Okay.
All right. All right, are we ready to go into zoning? Do we need a 5-minute break? Everybody good?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Okay. Roll right into it.
All right. So, nothing much has changed since what we were provided at the last meeting. I did have one thing that came up since the last meeting that wasn't included in the draft that the consultant put together. The Planning and Zoning Board, or the Planning Commission, recommended in the AR zoning district that all lots be 5 acres, regardless of if you were on sewer, on wells, or whatever. Our current ordinance was 2 acres and 2 acres. So I have amended what I have.
Say that again now?
That they wanted to go to a minimum of 5 acres period in AR, whether you had sewer or you were on a septic system. So just have a minimum lot size of 5 acres in AR, where currently if you were on sewer, you could have a 2-acre lot. So that change has been reflected because that was part of what their recommendation was. Just like their recommendation was in all of it.
You talking, we don't have sewer in AR.
Well, the ordinance currently says if you have if you're a sewered lot and it's on AR, that this is what it is.
Well, I wouldn't think we would, but since we don't have anything in a GIS system, we don't.
We could,
Okay.
yeah, we could.
Hold on, let's say it real slow so I can understand. So what we're proposing were 5-acre lots for AR. Any new division of land in AR, minimum 5-acre lots.
Yes.
Except, what were you saying?
Well, no, right now, the way the ordinance is written, it separates if you have sewer or if you're on septic. And they both were 2 acres in AR today. So when the draft moved forward, the original draft, they went to 5 acres, but it still showed 2 acres if you were on sewer. So at their meeting, they wanted all AR to go 5 acres. So that addition is the only change that's been made since what you've seen.
What we agreed to was AR is 5 acres.
Yes.
All existing AR that's less than 5 acres becomes non-conforming
Yes.
AR. That's what we all agreed on.
Yeah. So that was the only change that wasn't in the draft that they had made. It was a citizen had reached out and said, hey, this chart over here shows a different thing. So I went back, we listened to the meeting, found that information, and that's been updated. Everything else is still in the draft, so I did provide another copy of everything for everybody in case you want to go through the memo of what.
It's a new memo?
It has that new change on it. I added the change that was made for the 5 acres when it comes to septic as well, just so we have that updated information. And then I brought copies in case anybody didn't have one with them today. It should be one. And all of that stuff. I think I had 7.
Chairman, will you drop one off and get one right here?
Just stop right there.
So basically in the Appendix A portion of everything, when you go through the memo that the consultant put together for us of all of the changes that were made, it captures everything that had been talked about before my time here and then what we had talked about with the Planning Commission up to this point. And again, like I said in the previous meeting, a lot of these changes were also incorporating in all of the ordinances that have been adopted over the last 3 years, but were not codified into the ordinance, just so in case when we adopted this, we didn't miss anything, because my guess will be when we adopt
this, since we're adopting every article with changes in all of them, we're gonna do a repeal and replace. And we didn't want to repeal the old ordinance and not capture all of those amendments that had been made over the last few years. So those have all been incorporated into this draft. The biggest, key points in these are AR goes to 5 acres across the board. All other residential, all the R districts went to a 1 acre, whether you were on sewer or not. That was the planning commission's recommendation. The way the ordinance currently today says that you can have, if you're on sewer, you can have a half-acre lot in
R2.
in R2 or in R4. So in those 2 districts today, you could have, if you have sewer, they're half-acre lots. They just wanted to go to 1 acre lots across the board, and all of them.
Yeah, I agree and disagree. I agree with the, what we talked about previously with R2. We don't know where all the R2 is at. So to say we go half acres all over the place, I'm not sure about that. But on the sewer, and James is correct, you might not even know where the sewer is, but the sewers run predominantly by a city, right? We don't have a sewer system in the county. So I thought the whole general concept was we want the smaller lots all towards town. And as you come out of town, you go rural 5 acre lots. So if there's R2 and R4 at the outskirts of town, which may in 20 years from now it might be town, or 5 years from now, who knows, why would those not be smaller lots in town? If it already exists that way, right?
Yes, yeah, it exists that way.
So, I mean, it's only with sewer. I'm not
Yes.
saying, I don't want half acre lots out.
And I'm gonna make the assumption here, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think that, how we need to be careful on the sewer thing is I think in our new agreement that we have with the city on sewer, it actually falls into our joint project agreement on sewer for the industrial park, but it relates to all other areas. We don't have the authority or the capacity to grant permission for sewer usage, period. So we should not include sewage even in our ordinance, because that would have to be really I don't even know if that fall under a special exception, or because we don't have authority to grant that.
Okay, so what you're saying is like, we have water out of town, like, you can tap the water.
Right.
But you can't tap the sewer, is that what
Right.
you're saying?
Well, you might.
If it's a whole other process.
I think the city's opinion of that is if they're gonna provide the sewer service, they're gonna wanna annex that in. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a huge infrastructure cost. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I mean, if the city, if sewer's truly needed on a smaller subdivision that's close to the city and it's contiguous, then I don't really have
That's
a
what I was
problem.
talking about, like, those might, around the city of Thompson might be half acre lots, is what I was saying.
Right, I guess what I'm saying is, do we need that in our ordinance, or do we not need that in ours? I don't know.
Well, it's already in the ordinance, is what we're saying, is like, are we gonna wipe out any reference to being able to have half acre if sewer is available? On R2 and R4, right? Which, again, we know there's R2 way out, but there's not sewer way out, so those are never gonna be half acre. But there is sewer in and around the city of Thomaston, and at some point, like you said, there might wanna be if a developer comes in and say, hey, I wanna put in 20 homes here on half acre lots on the sewage, it's probably gonna be an annexation or
Right,
something.
well, I mean, I guess ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not sure that I understand what you're saying, but I guess, why are we going to why we're putting, are we gonna say, we're gonna create an R2 to say you gotta have sewer and water to build? But
You
we're
have
creating
that
a
today.
zone that we don't.
You have
No,
that
we're saying
today.
we have it today.
That's in your
That's what
ordinance
it's in
today.
today.
Right.
And so what we're saying is just take it all out and there's no distinguishing between R1 and R2. So I mean, home size, I don't
I mean,
know.
home size is the
So
only
do
difference.
we wanna say that was 1 acre?
Well, and that's what the planning board recommended, was to just go to 1 acre, whether it was sewer or whether it was septic. But the ordinance today does give you the option in those two districts.
And that's all
to
I'm
have it.
saying is it gives a developer on the outskirts of Thomaston an option today. Tomorrow, if we go 1 acre, it's gonna be all septics all out there.
Yeah. Or, I mean, they would be on, if they got sewer from, which,
Or get annexed?
Well,
They either
well, this-
follow that 1 acre
well,
policy.
this would be what would
moving
happen.
forward, or they.
if you put a 1 acre policy in, they're going to annex in. They're not gonna stay in your community at all. You're gonna force everybody that has the ability to get sewer to annex, because you're not giving them a reason to stay in the county. You know,
So is that
so,
a bad thing for us?
well, it depends on if you want the city to continue to grow in the areas you may not have wanted them to grow in the future.
Well, the only way they can, it has to be contiguous.
Right, it has to
Correct.
be contiguous.
If it was like
And
out way
and I'm
somewhere.
saying that sort of makes sense.
Mhm.
We got a north side area that is struggling from a septic system type. As this evolves over years, they're gonna run out of space to be able to maintain those septic systems. And those citizens, you know, it doesn't make sense for the city to run sewer out there. They're not gonna be wanting to annex it if they can.
It's gotta be cost effective.
Right.
It's gotta
So-
be something for them.
It's got, yeah, I mean, the infrastructure's gotta pay for itself, so if we just take out the sewer and the water, we just go with the 1 acre, then, if a developer comes in and says, hey, I wanna develop this, it's contiguous, and the city says, okay, we're gonna supply you with the water and the sewer, then it makes sense. It allows the city to grow.
And I guess from my point, this would be where I'm at. When I first got here, we were not doing a complete rewrite. We were doing a patch and repair to the ordinance that we
Right.
were doing. What we're talking about now is starting almost completely
replacing.
over and replacing everything that we have. Now, I don't have, if you want to just change where it says sewer, I don't think we need to go in the code and go in and wipe out every reference where it says sewer, because now we're going to get into rewriting this entire thing, and we're not,
Right.
I don't think that's what we want to do.
We've hit.
You know, we're way beyond where that is. My question is, do we want to stay with what we've had and it's been in the ordinance in 1995? Or today, because we just want to change it to go to 1 acre, do we want to change it to 1 acre in every one of the R districts? That's, I just know in my 20+ years of doing this, when you become that restrictive, whether you're contiguous or not, they're gonna chase the trail as far as they can chase it, and they're gonna annex everything in, and the city's gonna continue to grow, and there's gonna be absolutely nothing you can do about it, because you've went super restrictive, and you've went to where you don't allow it at all. Everything's gonna chase to the city, whether you want it to or you don't, because all they have to have is a small strip of contiguous, and they'll start chasing strings out to get to where they wanna get. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's what happens. To where if you have it, they're gonna run, you know.
They're gonna, if we have sewer in there, they're in control of that, they make that decision, and they're not gonna run sewer unless they annex it, so it don't make a difference how you write it.
Then I don't know why it's been written the way it's been written since 1995.
But
is what
are
I'm
you in
saying.
agreement? I mean, if the city's not gonna run sewer into the county.
But if a developer came, this would be my thing, if a developer came in today, and we'll just use a piece of property, you know, off Jeff Davis, for example. Off of Jeff Davis, it's close enough to the city that that developer said, if I can get my half-acre lots here, but I run sewer a mile down the road, but it's gonna benefit my thing, the city's gonna let him pay to run that sewer, whether he annexes in or not, because he's not contiguous to them right now. They're gonna let him run that, because that's an investment that they don't have to make, and now they have the potential in the future to add additional customers to it. So we're saying now, if we do away with it, his only option is we're gonna annex in everybody between me and them. to get to there, to where the city wouldn't have required them to annex in if they weren't contiguous before. But now, in order to get it, because the city's not gonna turn down, you know, $1 million investment for them for free to get it to them by annexing in, they're just gonna go and do a mass annexation of everything to it.
So right now, the way it's written in R2 and R4, it gives a homeowner or developer the most options,
Correct.
right? It's very limited because it's only
Where it's available or where they're willing to run it,
comps.
yes.
And so that was my point, like, why even change it, right, to make it require one acre?
Yeah, I mean, my thing is
R2 and R4.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I get it, I heard the comment, I like an acre. That's not really a logical answer. You know, it's more cost effective for families, in and around town to be able to have half-acre lots, and we need those people around town. You know, everybody's not gonna live 5 miles out of town.
So, I mean, the way they have it, keeping it to where you have the sewer in there, it doesn't matter to me either way. I'm just giving you the options of what you currently have versus what they were with the planning commission. And that was a last meeting, last moment. It wasn't anything that had ever been discussed before.
Yeah, it was like, last minute comment, let's make everything an
We just
acre.
wanna go to an acre.
Wasn't a great
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the conversation, but half acre on septic to me is a concern, basically.
No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about half acre on the city sewer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
only,
half acre on
that's what's
sewer.
allowed now.
Yeah.
We're saying, say what's allowed now, don't change anything on R2, R4.
Yeah, I think.
But I had never thought about what you just said, you know, as far as a builder and running it back and.
Well, if they're
I don't
willing
know
to
that
pay
that's
for
what
it,
you want to
that
happen.
that you could
Well,
raise that.
I think the end results is the end results.
Yeah, we're not
If we
gonna
leave
change
it like it is, then, the city, like you said, yes, they can run, they can,
Chase.
that developer can pay that line to get run there. What's gonna happen after that line gets run there? What is gonna happen after that line gets run there? They're gonna annex it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can move the shell wherever you wanna move the shell, you're gonna get the exact same results. 2 and 2 is 4. I don't care if you spread it 10 miles apart or you put it right together. It's gonna end at the same exact results, because just like you said, you're gonna keep on. The investment's already been made. Okay, great. Now, we're gonna annex it. And they can do it, there's nothing we can do about it.
As long as it's
On either side, as long as it's contiguous.
contiguous.
So there isn't a roadblock there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only other thing I think, you know, for the annexing thing would be citizen,
If it's contiguous, it doesn't have to go full vote, I mean, it is contiguous, they can do it. By law, they can do it. We can not like it, but they can do
Now, they do have to take a vote, there's a referendum.
it.
Yeah,
Even if it's contiguous,
Yeah.
unless both bodies agree.
no, if they were taking people, so your house is here, and we wanna run sewer and build development here, right? They can't take everybody,
Yeah, that person has to.
that person has a right to vote.
I agree, unless both governing bodies agree to it, then it does not go full vote, is that not?
Well, you could do it legislative, just you're talking about,
Right.
you're going to the legislature to do it, that's what we
Yeah,
had
they're
talked
talking
about.
about going to Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah, so if we all agreed to
Do
that,
that for-
we were gonna do it in certain areas, you could take it to them, they could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they were to take this, that we would have to go through that process.
That's
We'd
right.
have to vote to agree.
I guess, it's really an argument, I'm just saying, but if this same body right here was sitting on the city side of this, and we were looking at spending dollars, and somebody wanted to tap onto our line, we're probably gonna say, yeah, well, you know, we'll entertain, but you're gonna need to get your water from us too.
And your power.
And your power. I mean, there's just, you know, there has to be, if a developer's coming to the table to offer something, they're gonna want they should want to get the most for bang for their buck. So, I don't know that it really matters either way. I mean, I
That's what I
think
said,
it's
that's
still
what
the same result.
it was, my only concern was that it was a last minute, hey, let's just make everything 1 acre. I'm like, there was some thought put in previously. I don't agree with a lot of things that were in there previously, but it looked like there was some thought put into it previously. And
So right now, it currently says you must have sewer and
No.
water
For a half acre.
for half acre.
Yeah.
Both?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
I think so. I think the end results is the end results, just gonna probably get in there.
Yeah,
they would just stay.
Considering, you know, we've been trying to get some of this other stuff wrapped up for so long, like, let's just stay with what we got, stay focused on what we're
Yeah.
trying to accomplish, and then if we need to come back and address it later, we can
Yeah,
address
well,
it.
I mean, I still believe that the best approach to this is to adopt what we have, and then when we go start the comprehensive plan next year, we go ahead and we do an entirely new unified development code that goes in conjunction with the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan, and you start over, and this is just, let's put to bed all of the issues
Yeah.
that we've had over the last
I
2
agree.
years,
Yeah.
and just bridge us to where.
Do we think we're gonna have that mapped out by next year?
Well,
Do we know what R2 is?
Yes, well,
That'd be great, but.
well, I have a map today.
Yeah.
That was just done by the regional commission for me. I have transferred that information over to our consultant that's working on this with scanned copies of all of our paper maps today to get us a price quote on what it's gonna cost to turn that digital, turn our future development map digital, do all that. So all of that right now is getting a price quote to come back to you to be able to hopefully be done before the end of this year. That we have all of the data that we need to be able to do it. So I do have a map that is available if we have the software to view it. We can see a map and we can see where everything is today.
When will we get that software?
We just have to buy it.
Just need to know the
I
price.
mean, I think that's something that we all need. I mean,
Yeah.
from a planning standpoint, you got, I mean, you almost, it's almost a must.
It's
Yes.
hard to see the second and third order effects of your decision when you
Right.
can't see where we are
Yeah,
today.
Correct.
and we have so much technology now.
How much is
why not
lovely?
use it? Same
Well,
with
the
GIS.
software itself is, for the bundle of it, I think it's $5,000 annually for the software. But the map that I got from the state is off our old digest.
So you gotta update it.
So it, and that's what is, the consultant's getting us a price on now. But it's something that we already have the base built for them. So it, from them, it's not gonna be something that's gonna take very long for them to do. It's just gonna be verifying. We already have all of the maps scanned. So I have I have digital copies of all of the map books now that show the zoning, that they can verify and make sure that that data that we got from the regional commission is right. Now, there are some new parcels that have been created since that map that we'll get from the tax assessor's office, but it'll just be a matter of
So as long
verifying.
as it's a reasonable cost, by the end of the year, we can potentially have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I'm waiting on, for them to get me a cost
I
back
say
so I
bring
can,
that to the board.
so I can get that to them.
Very soon.
I would just have a question on that.
Yeah.
How, you know, I know software's great, I think we need a system, but a system's only good as the person sitting down here putting the information in.
Yes.
What are the expectations with that? I mean, so if we do, if we have a public hearing for a rezoning and we do that, how long should we expect that information to be available?
Yes, so there's two ways to do it, and that's what I talked with the consultant about. They can actually host all of the information for us, and we don't have to buy the software. So they'll host everything on their end, and then when we have a change at the end of the meeting, as soon as we have signed documentation that says this property's been done, we can send it the day after, we can send it monthly for them to update it, and then we re-adopt a map every year, you know, to effectuate all of the changes that have been done through that year. But it can be updated. If we have the software, it's something that we can do. You know, internally, a staff member can just go in there and change where that says they are today, and it goes to whatever.
And
the
is it like
And it's
metadata where like
it's
we can see
instantaneous.
like this, what happened to this property over time?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and that's one of the things that they're working on building out too, which goes into like what they talked about earlier. You want the GIS system to be able to have everything to where when you have that, it'll show, okay, on this piece of property, you know, there's also a culvert right here. There's, you know, all of the GIS systems would be able to come together what I'm doing, what's being done for my office from that standpoint would be compatible with what they have. It's the same system.
But that's what I was about to say, as long as it's the same.
Yeah, it's
software,
all
they can
handled
talk to
through
each other.
ARC, yeah, it's all, yeah, it all will speak the same language. So that's something that was one of the first things that Lonnie and I talked about when I first got here was, hey, let me see what we can work on and get that done. And then when it came up in the meetings, I asked the consultant, because they had actually given a price quote to Doug and all, I think, last year on doing all of this, but that was including them having to scan everything and do all that. And we've already got that done. EMC's done that for us already, so they provided me with all of that information, and I have it on a shared drive to the consultant now. So he's supposed to be working on getting me a price, hopefully by the end. I was hoping to have it by today, so I could at least give y'all some insight on that. But we are diligently working on getting something back so we can get this moving forward as soon as possible. Because it's just, to me, it's a very important key piece in decision making moving forward. So the zoning map stuff is, my hope is by the end of this year we'll have something.
Good. All right. Back to
Yes.
zoning.
Yeah. So
Commissioner Biggs had one question about Article 15, number 5, C2 zone. Yeah, let me go ahead and put it out so y'all have it. He wanted to know why it was such a large increase in the size.
What's the question again?
Why
15, what?
15, number 5.
Oh, why are we making the commercial building be 2,000 square feet? Why can't we have a boutique? Question, right?
I guess, yeah, why such an increase in the size?
those were all recommendations that came from the planners before my time. Those changes of square footages were things that have been talked about from them.
We don't know the rationale.
Other than it's the minimum, you know, it's not a tenant space. It would be, if it was, the whole building would have to be that size. I mean, you could, if you build a 4,000 square foot building, you could have 800 square foot tenant spaces. This is just the building itself. The minimum heated floor space for the whole building would have to be 2,000 square feet is what they put versus the length. But what a reasoning behind that is, I don't know. I mean, there is no necessarily minimum, and that's the only district that it changed in. I don't know if the other districts were already as
Larger,
larger.
assuming C2, C3, it doesn't define that. So what about C2 and C3?
That's what I'm looking to see now, if those were different.
Because the way I would assume is your C1 is probably going to be your strictest, and C2 and C3 would get more and more lenient. So ultimately, you can have a choice of what you rezone to.
Well, there's classifications of what you're doing.
Yeah.
It has to go into that category.
You got to make sure it all fits.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, C1,
So in C3, there is no
2,000
minimum.
square foot building for business, I mean,
There's no minimum in C3.
That's not very, I mean, that's not very big, I mean, you know, C1, what, all right, so, barber shops on this. I mean, we're gonna require somebody to have a house that size on it,
C3 or
that they live in.
C3 was none,
I wouldn't
and
require.
C2 was 6.
Yeah, I mean, C1 is the most, it has a drive-through window, it's the stricter of the Cs.
Yeah, C1 is your most restricted, it's your neighborhood commercials, the things you
Yeah.
want to be close. So going and looking at the ordinance, it's 600 is the minimum, 600 square foot is the minimum in C2, and in C3, there is no minimum in the ordinance today, and that's the draft they carried through.
Okay, so C2 is general commercial, C1 is
Is neighborhood.
neighborhood,
Yeah.
like we have a neighborhood store.
It'd be the things closer into, those are, when you look at those from the stair step, it would be
Okay.
going from my
All right,
residential
well, I'm
to
kind of going
office.
back to Commissioner Biggs here, like, I don't know, how big does a barber shop need to be?
I guess if it is the ones that are closer to the city,
I mean,
you're potentially wanting them to be smaller.
Well, and I think that's, you know, this also falls into, you know, if you're looking at a neighborhood strip center, you know, somebody's building a strip center, a 2,000 square foot strip center is not that big of a deal, but if it's just an individual building, a singular business.
yeah, I mean, so if I'm in a strip mall and I have a barber shop, maybe it's, you know, it's 1,000 feet, 1,200 foot. But if I own a piece of property that's in the neighborhood and it's C1, now I gotta have a 2,000 square foot building if I wanna have a barber shop.
Well, I mean, if
Because
C2
the thing that's saying it is, it's not very,
if C2 is 600, then why would we make C1 like double it, 1,200? And that's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, because even like a service station is there, so now every gas station that gets built would have to be 2,000 square foot of convenience store under C1. But if they went in C2, they'd be 600.
yeah, again, I know that the original ordinance was written by Galloway. And so there was some thought put into what these square footage is, and this is just a recommendation, and I don't know the logic behind it.
Yeah, we didn't have any discussion about that since I've been here. The 2,000 was something that was evidently discussed.
And Chris, you're more in favor of the smaller footprint for the neighborhood? Oh, you do?
He just sent that message.
Okay.
So C1 is just neighborhood?
Makes more sense to have the smaller and that one.
Yeah.
And then
I think what you're trying to
prevent.
prevent is you don't want them popping up in every city. You don't want
Right,
a convenience store popping up in a little 600 square foot all around the city.
And what we can't get lost in here is this is moving forward from when this is adopted forward. This isn't,
Right.
doesn't impact anything that's current today or
Yeah.
anything like that.
That reminds me of that question that I did.
This is what collectively we would want to see this community in the future. And I still think that I mean,
I don't know what it is.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to see one for a neighborhood store, I mean, I think you would have to file for a variance along with your rezoning. I mean, special exception.
Well, you could want a variance to the square footage if you.
Right, yeah,
increase it
just
to that from dimensional, if it was one of the permitted uses that was listed, and it's like, dry cleaners, salons,
That's what I was
barbershops,
Ace
laundromats.
cleaners. That's
those-
probably, and that's not 2,000 square feet.
Ace, uptown.
Yeah. I think that's 2,000 square feet.
I say that's 5,000 square foot. Yeah.
It's not where you walk into. They
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot.
That's about 5,000 square foot.
Or the barber shop
Yeah.
across from EMC. That's,
Again, I don't see the
But that
logic
don't
behind
affect
it. I mean,
yeah. That's in the city. I was just trying to get an idea of what it could be that we're talking about that goes into C1. But yeah, I mean, I think they can, if there's a situation that they need less than that, we have variance. And that's what it's for.
Because we got to take into consideration, if it's in here, they just got to come to us for the rezoning if they're going to rezone it. And,
I'm not allowed to see one out in the county either.
So are y'all saying y'all want
it
to?
wouldn't impact the C1 today anyway,
Yeah.
because if it's currently existed, and I get caught in that, this is
Yeah,
only.
that's why I like the
forward.
map, because it'll tell you it was C1 in 1980,
Now, I don't know that the map will be able to go that far back, because some of the stuff we don't know when it was on.
Right.
Well,
And the map, the book.
Zone
today
prior to this,
Yes.
it'll say zone prior to this.
Yes, sir.
I think we do whatever we want to here.
Okay.
I'm calling that line because it's still gonna be a zoning issue and it's gonna become for us, and if there's outrage in a community where the C1's gonna be located,
Yeah.
obviously we gotta listen to those.
I don't have a huge problem. I would like to hear back from Chris, what his thoughts are, since he's the one who brought it up, so.
Yeah, I would say like I said, from my standpoint, why it increased like that, I don't know. That wasn't anything that we discussed as to increase in those. We didn't really talk about any of the commercial stuff at all.
There hasn't been any issues with C1.
Yeah, again, I think it was just,
I mean, so do y'all want to keep it at the 1,008?
I don't know if it really matters.
Yeah. it's gonna be a rezone anyway, regardless of what.
That Ace Cleaners is 7,500 square feet. 75, 60. So big.
All right, let's hold what we got. If Chris comes back with some argument that
Right.
makes sense to us, and we consider. All right, what else?
Let's see. So basically, in the AR zoning district, minimum lot size went from 1,008 to 1,400 square foot for the heated floor space for a house. 5 acres across the board. The cemeteries were removed as a permitted use, a permitted special exception, and they now are only allowed to be permitted as part of a religious facility, so you can't have a freestanding family cemetery or whatever with a special exception in the AR district, was what was in there. The ADUs, that's been really the only hot topic that anybody's had any discussion with me about, is the ADUs. The ADUs were put in all of the R districts as well as the AR district. It's the same across all of them. 50% of the heated floor space of the primary not to exceed 1,500 square feet, whichever is less. So.
And there's no second home, right?
There is no second home in AR anymore. We removed that provision out of the ordinance. Because the way it was written when I first got here was if you had 10 acres, you could have a second home, then just subdivide your lot into 2 parcels if you want a second home. You know, if we're going to make you have the same amount of acreage it would take to have 2 homes, just subdivide your lot. And then allow the ADU. The requirement in there still, you can't rent an ADU, so it's an ancillary use to the primary use. The only thing is as you get into the R districts, you know, do you want them in all the R districts? You know, is there, you know, again, it goes back to the comment that I've made. I'm not wanting to change any of it because I'm not wanting to rewrite all of this right now, but when our R districts are basic, every one of them is a 1 acre minimum. The only the setbacks are virtually the same in every one of them. I did try to have them go in and change some of the setbacks to make some differences between them, but the only difference between every one of them right now is the square footage of the house. And 2 of them allow mobile homes and the rest of them don't. So that's really the only difference between them in what those R districts are. But each one of them does allow the ADUs in them. The only thing, like we talked about in those before, that is the truck parking that we had talked about. It's been added in here because that was what we talked about in the planning commission. So there is the requirement for truck parking in AR, which is less restrictive than what's in the R districts, and then in the R districts, it puts those in there, and those are things, if y'all don't want to move forward with that.
Yeah, I think we already had public hearings and we had a public vote, and, I mean, I certainly understand where Commissioner Jones is coming from. He's trying to take care of a constituent who has a concern, but overwhelming message that I got would say that's not something people want to see. You know, require them to build additional buildings, house their truck. I don't think we put that in the ordinance after we just voted not to pass it in public.
So those, I will have those.
And I think they talked about that before we actually voted.
It's possible.
It did. They talked about it before we voted.
Yeah, so we can remove those out of there. We just wanted, that was the one thing that was in the draft for all of those that I wanted to make sure. Outside of that, the only other change that we did in the R districts was if you have county water versus not county water, the way the state regulations are, our minimum lot width was 100 foot in all of these districts, but the only way you can have 100 foot per Department of Public Health is you have to have county water or city water, whatever, you have to have public water. If you're on a well, it's supposed to be 150 foot wide, so we changed that in all the R districts, so we come in compliance with what their minimum standards are to ensure that our ordinance lined up with what the minimums were. Outside of that, like I said, since I've been here, we haven't really talked anything about the commercial districts at all. We didn't make any changes to commercial since I've been here. All of these changes were either things that were prior to me or codes that were adopted. We were just trying to get codified in. The one thing I did want to talk about was the data center stuff. That did get added into the 2 industrial districts. And it's in your draft from where we talked and had that last workshop meeting that we had. And what's being proposed is it requires a special exception, a minimum of 100 acres. They have to have an established 50-foot wide buffer or natural buffer along all property lines adjacent to residential. The county reserves the right to require additional plantings if it's deemed to be insufficient. Structures are a minimum of 100 foot from property lines, 500 feet from any habitable structure. There's a 100-foot buffer on all streams or state, and all state buffers for wetlands have to be, met. Setbacks can be adjusted by the Board of Commissioners during the special exception public hearing if deemed necessary. So while we set a minimum, you have the flexibility during that special exception to change that. Applicant must provide a letter from the utility provider during the special exception application stating that adequate service is available, and then what upgrades or improvements would be required at their expense prior to a CO. Environmental impact study would need to be submitted with the special exception application. Impact study would include information on the potential impacts of air quality, water resources, energy generation, noise, light, traffic, natural resources. All data centers shall be on public sewer and water. Public wells or private wells and septic systems are prohibited. All cooling and ventilation systems are to be closed loop systems. All air conditioning units, HVAC systems, or other mechanicals have to be located outdoors, shall be visibly screened from the view of a public right-of-way, adjacent residential properties using buildings, walls, fences, roof elements, berms, trees, natural landscaping. Data centers that produce sounds that exceed 65 decibels measured at adjacent property boundaries between the data center and residential dwellings. At the time of the issuance of the CO for any building, the county may require the data center operator to provide a sound study to confirm the operation is in compliance. If the data center operation is found not to be in compliance, the county may issue a notice of violation to the operator. They have 30 days to fix the violation or their CO should be revoked. Decommissioning bond shall be required prior to the issuance of a CO for all data centers in the amount to return the site back to its pre-development conditions as determined by an independent third-party professional engineer licensed in the state of Georgia. All on-site generators must be contained within sound barriers for acoustic damping, featuring only permitted in the side or rear yard. Testing of those generators can only be done between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. and they may only be used in the case of an emergency. All exterior lighting shall be designed with cutoffs, fully shielded, so they are downcast, so they don't affect adjacent property owners. All battery systems shall be equipped with dedicated fire suppression systems designed to control thermal runaway fire and explosive hazards associated with the specific battery chemistry. Fire suppression systems shall comply with all state regulations. Prior to the issuance of a CO, the operator shall file an emergency response plan with the county fire department, the EMA department, and the sheriff's office. And it has some criteria that has to be involved in that: a site plan, a 24-hour contact, hazardous identification of all storage materials on site, detailed shutdowns, isolations, procedures, firefighting and spill containment procedures specified for any battery chemistry that may be used, evacuation routes, staging areas, water supplies, plans for emergency responders, and then coordination protocols with the appropriate fire department, sheriff's office, and EMA. So those were all the things that we kind of talked about when we had that workshop of putting in some standards for what a data center would be required to have at their submission for a special exception. And if any of those need to be kind of tweaked or modified, we can do that. And again,
what's the language on the development plan? In their language, it has to be a development plan approved by the Board of Commissioners before.
There is not one on this because it's through the special exception. The special exception has to be approved by the commissioner, so they would have to provide all of this data, the environmental study, the information from where the health, all of the utility companies, so they already have a plan in place of what they're building, so you'll be basically approving it, everything as part of that special exception.
we have talked about development plans, though, recently.
Yeah, we talked about doing we conditioned one to do a, development agreement.
So, my thought process is, why would we not do that, for M1 and M2? Have county commissioners get to approve a development plan before any industry comes in, any big company comes into this county.
So I think basically what you'd be doing is putting in a special exception on top of any you'd have no permitted uses in those districts. You would make every use a special use permit if you're wanting it to have to come through. Otherwise, you would have to you'd have to create an ordinance for like an architectural review. You would be architecturally reviewing it. Without it going through a zoning action and getting conditioned for specific sites, if you're blanking it in across the county, then you go to 0 permitted uses and everything becomes a special use permit at that point.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how much control y'all wanna have on industry coming in. I mean, do you wanna allow some to just come in, or,
And could we do it by size? Or what size, land area they're taking up?
I don't know. I mean, I've never seen it done that way. I mean, I'd have to research it and see.
I think we're putting up a red X that we don't want people to come here.
Exactly.
Because the whole purpose of having it zoned, to these and it being a piece of IDA property is the ability to market it. I think we're hurting that ability. I think if we identify the areas that we are okay having these zonings, then we should be okay with those uses.
But we have listed uses.
Yeah, let's.
Yes.
But are those listed uses, generic and like, just say manufacturing or?
Yes. Yeah, because you can't, it's hard to get super specific because, I mean,
Yeah.
a data center wasn't even thought of in anybody's ordinances 3 years ago. And now they're the #1 topic in any jurisdiction at this point.
Yeah, we kind of need some kind of happy medium. I want the IDA to be able to go out and recruit and bring people in here, bring companies in here. But at the same time, I think this board of commissioners need to have some kind of say on what comes in here.
And I think anything that's already currently zoned, a board had some say in whether or not they wanted industrial in that location previously. And anything that's not zoned today, the board at that time would have
Yeah, I
to
don't
say.
think the issue is whether it's industrial or not, because like, where the industrial park at is a good place. Proposals are good places. The community outcry is what is it?
And I think if there are specific things that, may tend to be, a hotter topic.
Like
than
the data
something-
center.
Or something else, then they need to be added as a special use permit for what those particular categories may be. If it's something that, the particular business is a business that generates something that has an air quality impact, and maybe there's something that needs to be an environmental, something along that, you're not requiring them to go through any other step other than they're required to submit something that says, hey, here's a document that says what we do produces this, and here's what mitigations may be in place. But you would have to know specific uses to be able to include those in there, just like we do with the data center. Hey, you've got these requirements to meet for them to do that.
I think what you're talking about, what's the big industry that's supposedly coming there? Brightmark. You're saying you kind of want to have some control over something like that.
Yeah, I just think that is the,
Because
that
it's
is the
zoned, so
largest,
it's coming.
that is the biggest noise, from the community, is that the governing authority of the county didn't say yes. They didn't have any say. in
Well, the
that.
chairman was on the board.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, you do have a seat.
And the mayor. Yeah, you're right, not controlling, but they were on.
That's not controlling.
Yeah, they were on the board.
You know,
How would that impact us from the standpoint, I mean, I know we got this grad certified park, I mean,
Right.
how does that impact us on the state level? Can anybody answer?
I don't know, I think that's the conversation here. What is this board's,
What,
what can we do?
I got you, I mean, I guess I understand where you come from, I get it, I mean, I'm kinda all over the place on this, but it's kinda like this, if you zone a piece of property or something for allowable use, and then that and let's say, and let's face it, at the end of the day, we're competing for things.
Yeah.
And if a company comes here and wants to do, look, if they know they gotta go through some extra processes, we're out. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If I decide I want to build a tractor plant, and I'm looking for a place to build a tractor plant, assembly plant,
And it's harder here than.
and if I'm the president of the company, I'm not out looking, I send my folks out, and if they start bringing, well, we could be over here, but you're gonna have to go through this process, I'm scratch. I need, you know, I got a lot of other things to worry about, in compliances I gotta follow. I just need to know, is the infrastructure available? Is the land available? Is potentially, is the workforce potentially there? That's all I need to know. And then I'll make my decision based on finances, shipping, all that kind of stuff. But when you go, well, we can have it over here, but then you're gonna have to go through this process of getting it, you know, yeah, maybe you can come, you can't. And if 100 people show up out of 28,000 and say, I don't want it, it becomes a political issue at that point. And when politics gets involved in stuff like that, it can be. If 200 people showed up at one of our meetings and said they didn't want something, what are we gonna do? Let's just be honest. Let's just talk fair and honest about that. What are we gonna do? I know what we're gonna do. You don't have to answer that. We're gonna say no. But we just disenfranchised the supermajority of the county. That's all I got to say. I digress.
Anyway, that was my question.
Yeah, so I mean, my thought process behind that is, you know. you
So
just
only
need-
special use like the data
well, you would
center.
need- yeah, you would need to just look at what some potential
What are the hot
uses,
topics?
maybe something that you would want to look at having supplemental standards for. And it may be a matter of that they don't require a special exception, but they just have supplemental standards. They have to meet X, Y, and Z. You know, the number one thing that I know in dealing with the development community is they want to know what the expectation is before they ever get here. If they know, you know, and that's one of the wild cards when you start bringing stuff in and just want to look at it at a meeting, that there is nothing that's off the table. You know, you could ask them to paint the building purple polka dotted, and they would have to paint it purple polka dotted if that's what the majority of the board chose that night. So they want to know kind of upfront what some of those things are. So if there are some specifics, we could either add.
I don't know any other specifics than the data center at this point.
Yeah, outside of the other, you know, I don't like to say the name, and I don't like to throw businesses out there, but it's been the only thing that I've heard about since
Yeah.
I've been here.
Thanks for.
Is what it is, you know, it's one of those things that's permitted use that's in that district, and in that district, there's a whole list of things that could be done. That industry chose to come here, and if they break laws, they break laws. They get dealt with in the manner in which laws that get broken get handled. I mean, it's the only option that we really have. If it's uses we don't want, this is the time to say, you know, hey, these uses we don't want in our community anymore, and these are uses we do, and, you know, either go ahead and specify some new ones or switch them from one way to another.
Anything else after the data center?
Outside of the zoning, that pretty much wrapped up all of the zoning stuff. Nothing else really changed through that. Going into the subdivision ordinance, the biggest change that we did in the subdivision ordinance is creating a 3-tiered system for what a subdivision is. You have lot divisions, which are allowed in all zoning districts, and it's if you create 5 lots or less. So if you're creating 5 lots or fewer, you're just considered a lot division as long as you're not installing new infrastructure. And then we have a minor sub, go ahead.
Can I ask, because I had a question about that, so, everything except for AR is 5 or less, but then it says, if there's no new infrastructure, if it's 10 lots, it's administrative approval. That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, any lot that is a minor subdivision, and that's where I'm gonna get to the next part of it. You have a minor subdivision and a major subdivision. A minor subdivision can only be developed in AR. It can be developed in any district, but it really only applies to AR, because a lot division of 5 lots or fewer is just a lot division. If I go over 5 lots, I become a minor subdivision that doesn't have new infrastructure. So in AR, I could take my road frontage and just go in and divide those lots out. The ordinance today doesn't, if they meet the ordinance requirements today and not installing new infrastructure, it's an administrative review. It's not reviewed by anybody other than staff. Only once infrastructure is put in place does it go to the planning commission for a recommendation to y'all, the way the code reads today. So what we did was in AR, we allowed AR, you could use your road frontage. All the other R districts, you can only subdivide 5 lots. Anything above 5 lots has to be a major subdivision, and major subdivisions require internal streets. So in all the R districts, if you do more than 5 lots, you automatically have to put internal streets in.
Well, we're digesting a lot here, but what the whole, one of the major purposes of this was in AR, because that's the bulk of the county, that we wanted to minimize driveways. This ordinance does not do that.
I think we wanted to minimize flag lots.
Right, well, we wanted to keep the developers from coming in here and buying up a tract of land and cutting the lots off and selling them off on county right of way. So basically today, if this was our current ordinance and a developer came in to you and wanted to do 10 lots on Atwater Road, in AR, and they met the 5-acre minimum, they get that.
Yeah, the 200 foot of lot width.
No, that was our intent. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't think that was the intent.
I mean, I would think that I would like to have seen anything up to 5 lots.
Have a number of
divides,
lots. Yeah.
then that's administrative approval, doesn't require a planning commission, doesn't require, but anything over that, it needs to be a process.
Even, and this is the point behind that. If your ordinance doesn't require internal streets, the only thing that you're requiring them to come for you for is an administrative review. So you're taking on the administrative review of it, and if they meet your ordinance, you can't deny an administrative review. They're not coming in for a zoning, it's not a public hearing, it's not going into an ordinance thing. You're just taking on the administrative responsibility, and it's difficult to deny that without putting some regulations into your ordinance that prohibits them from doing what you're not wanting to do. It just becomes subjective at that point.
So what can we put in there?
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying, because technically, 20 lots, I mean, if it's 20 lots, and it's 5 acres, they're not putting any new infrastructure in.
We're going straight down 74.
Right, I'm telling you, that is not, that's what we wanted to get control of. I'm not saying we wanted to stop, we just wanted to get control of that. I mean, we missed that boat, we on dry land. That's not even close to what.
I'm confused, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is what.
This is legislative.
Yeah, when we presented
Not
it.
legal.
Yeah, when we presented it to the planning commission, my initial thing was anything over 5 lots required internal streets. I don't care what district you're in. You know, that's a me thing. A subdivision is a subdivision.
You want-
I thought that's where we were.
And the planning commission, we had some people that came up and they spoke and they were saying, but in AR, you know, when we develop, if we've got 2,000 foot of road frontage, why can't we use our road frontage to do these 5 acres? Only the 5 acre lots, we understand the rest of it, and the change was made from the planning commission. That and that's where in AR only, a minor subdivision is only allowed in AR. You can't go in any other district and create more than 5 lots. It was only in the AR district, and that was at, you know, was that in that point?
Let's just make it 5 lots. for all districts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I thought, the last statement you just made, I thought that's where we were at.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what we had talked about, but the recommendation that came forward from the planning commission was not to require internal streets on AR. But every other district, we do have that requirement.
I mean, the question is, am I off base here, guys? Is that not what we
No,
want?
I mean, that's
Yeah,
weird.
we originally talked about internal streets. I mean,
Right, yeah, I mean, the
It-
chairman brought
it-
that, and I fell in love with that idea, like, 2 months after he was elected, and then we were sitting in this room, and he mentioned that, and I was like, man, that's our ask.
yeah. And so, in that case, their backyard could face 74, right? But we wouldn't have 10 driveways
Right.
coming on
Eliminate the curb
74
cuts.
with a log truck coming down the road.
We did some good things, but I think we missed the boat on this one. This is gonna take,
I think the heart, and this is, you know, from a zoning standpoint, I play devil's advocate with you. If you do that, and you require internal streets, nobody will build a 5 acre lot subdivision where they're required to put internal streets. They're just gonna rezone to R1. They're gonna rezone, because R1 in the map falls the same category that, you know, where your agriculture goes. So everybody's gonna come in and ask for a rezoning. You know, because they're gonna ask for the 1 acre lot versus the 5 acre lot. If they've got, you know, when you start looking at the cost of development, a 5 acre lot subdivision, they can't make, there's not a developer in the world that can make that work. Not with the cost of what land is, if we're requiring them to put internal streets and stuff like that in. You know, I'll put whatever.
Our
in
job
here.
is not, our job is not to make it profitable for the developer. That is not our job.
Yeah.
No, but it is our responsibility to make sure we're not closing the door and not allowing anybody to come. And that's what we do when we set a minimum standard of 5 acres, and you have to have internal streets or anything beyond.
So, but if we set 5 acres, what you get is somebody's moving here from Noonan to buy 5 acres versus this company's coming here and buying 200 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't support what's on here.
I just need some direction. If you want AR to go to all internal streets, I will put whatever.
Well, I mean, I don't think,
5 or fewer lots, just make it match the other,
right.
so, you know, the other 5 or fewer lots.
Yeah, so
it can be done.
So basically, we're going to a lot division and a major subdivision, that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's where we were.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what we're.
Elsewise, you have driveways all the way to the county line.
And I don't blame the developer. I mean, if you make it, yeah, that makes sense to them. I'm not necessarily here for the developer.
All right, outside of that, that was really the only other changes that we had in the AR, in the subdivision ordinance. The other biggest change was all plats now are required to be reviewed. The ordinance today allows you to split your lot into 2 and it never gets reviewed. This requires all divisions of plats to be reviewed before they get recorded.
Was that done electronically? Do they send it to you electronically?
They bring it.
Don't they submit it electronically?
They submit it electronically to the state, to the courthouse that gets recorded at the state level.
All right, I got a question. Now, this last Article 4, the subdivisions, every lot in every new subdivision must be provided with paved street access. We've got some subdivisions here, and I'm totally against them, I always have been against them. They have private roads.
Yeah, the ordinance doesn't allow private roads, unless they're the way the ordinance is written today, and we did not change this, a private street is only allowed in a planned development. You can't have a private street anywhere else. And that has to be approved by the board for the planned development. So we're not doing private streets moving forward.
So are we allowing gravel streets?
No. All roads have, unless it's an existing gravel road, they can subdivide those lots off of it. But any subdivision which requires internal streets, those streets have to be paved.
Good. Finally. I think I'm the only one with private roads in the county.
No, yeah, I got it.
You got one? People don't
That's several
understand.
private roads, I mean, they probably want,
Yeah.
that's the being.
People don't, you know,
Just private roads.
people don't understand that the original owner knew that the property line was the middle of the unpaved road, and then it gets sold 3 or 4 times, and then they want the road paved, or they want the road scraped, or they want gravel on the road. We don't own it. And, it's a mess. And they don't keep them up. And they track mud out on the county roads and everything else. Well, you know, we don't have a leg to stand on, I guess, for these people that own these private roads about tracking mud out on county roads.
Not much you can do about
Yeah, that's what I thought.
it. And if they tear the road up, that's good.
I'm gonna keep beating that horse, but I do want to back up there. Am I off base with what the internal roads?
That's where we were
Right.
almost 2 years ago.
Kind of what's.
And I'm not,
Oh, no.
That's where we're at. I know you wasn't
Yeah.
ready to all
No,
that.
well, I mean, it's just one of those things, you know, the only time this comes into play is if the property owner has AR and they have 2,000 foot, because this is what we changed, that I didn't really point out, but I'll point it out now. Flag lots are prohibited. Lot width is measured at the road. Right now, the ordinance, the way it's written now, has what I call a loophole in it. It says that your minimum lot width is 150 feet in all of these districts. But you can have no less than 30 foot of road frontage. Even though we don't talk about flag lots, what does that mean? If I can have 30 foot at the road, as long as I open up to 150 at the back, I'm that. Well, I changed that in my draft to the planning commission that we measure the lot width at the right of way, or at the front property line. Whether that's the center of the road, or whether that's where the right of way is. So now, any new lot created in AR has to have 200 foot of road frontage. The only deviation from that is a variance that has to come from the board for approval to get less than 200. So you have to have 2,000 foot of road frontage to have 10 lots. Is 10 driveways in 2,000 feet?
That's gonna be my question.
Super arbitrary in the stand, you know, it's not 10 driveways in 300 feet. It's 10 driveways over a 2,000 foot stretch. And depending on what road it is, if it's on a state route, then the state's gonna dictate that more than likely those driveways end up having to be shared because they're only gonna allow certain because of site distance. That was kind of the basis behind only in AR, because it's, to get that many lots split out, they each have to have 200 foot of road frontage. How many parcels do we have in the county that have 2,000 foot of road frontage?
I think we got a lot of rural vacant land on roads. I mean, you ride down Old Alabama Road, for example, between, and you would find large tracts of land out there that has 4,000 or 5,000 foot. I think that, like I said, that's something that we initially, and it didn't say no, it's just saying, hey, if you want more than that, then you need to go to an internal road system, and it's not deeming your land unusable.
They can still face the road, they just come in a rear drive. If they put a street behind it, it is freezing in it. Y'all cold? It says it's 74.
Yeah.
It can't be 74.
It's freezing.
So restate where we were. We were at 5. You could do
5 lots.
up to 5. Anything more than 5 internal roof.
Yep. That's what I've got.
Now, what is a serial split?
You can only split a lot 5 times every 5 years, or it becomes it's split 5 times, and then you go to a 6 lot, now it becomes a major subdivision, you have to meet major subdivision requirements, once you add that 6 lot.
But that's effective from time of acceptance of this ordinance, right? What if they, what if somebody splits something up prior to that split doesn't count?
Well, it does, I mean, if they split up a parcel, and it was a parent parcel, I mean, we're just saying a lot can't be split more than 5 times every 5 years as a minor, so, or as a lot division, we're doing away with minors.
So I have this land. I make 5 home sites. And I sell the rest of the land to James.
Well, you could only get 4, because that rest would be the 5th lot, so,
And then James cannot have 5 home sites.
not for 5 more years.
So it follows the property.
Yeah, it follows the property.
But that's after adoption of this ordinance.
Of any parcel that would be subdivided from there, yes.
So if it was subdivided prior to this ordinance, that don't count.
Well, I mean, you can't really go back and change it.
Right, oh, well, I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that we can't do that. And I don't know that our intent would be to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but it would cut out what people are doing now, because what's happening today is because you can take a parcel and subdivide it into 2 and not have to be reviewed at all. I split it into 2, tomorrow I go split those 2 into 2 apiece, and then tomorrow I go back and split that, and nobody ever sees it, and it just happens. To where now they wouldn't be able to do that, they would have to go through the process. They hit 5, and that's why I want everything to be reviewed, that way we have record of, hey, these splits were done then, we know when they were done, we're able to track that 5 every 5.
So the simple split down still has to be reviewed?
Yes, any split would have to be reviewed once this is adopted. So that way they can't do that piggyback down the road.
Cold.
I've been cold.
It's getting cold now that you mentioned it. Are you
I'm
good?
done.
5?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got, I want you to, I just, like I said, I don't think, I thought that's what we kind of were.
Yeah, that's where we
That's what
were.
we set sail to, I don't know what happened.
So you have 5 lots. If somebody wants to come in and do more, they're gonna have to come in and do a major subdivision, come through the process. They have to have 5-acre lots with the road, or if it's a developer, they come in and they're like, hey, to make money, I need to have 3-acre lots, and that's going to R1.
All of that goes into,
Zoning.
then we get, it's a
We
zoning
don't have-
issue, and we get, right, it's a lot of moving parts and things can be altered from that point, but, yeah,
Okay. All right, and then, so, some minor tweaks, all right, we need to get it out to the public, what the tweaks are, and then, we will be ready at the, end of the month to vote on this?
I won't be here the end of the month, I'll be at a conference at the last meeting.
So, the first meeting of,
First meeting of
September?
The September 8th, which is the day after the holidays.
Okay.
What holiday?
Labor Day.
Is it on?
On
Monday.
Monday. Meeting
On
on
the 7th?
Yes, all the way to the 7th this year.
Okay, yeah, so that was just brought up the other day, I was like, because somebody asked me, like, y'all still having the meeting then? I was like, it's on the calendar, as far as I know we are. I mean, I don't, no idea. The only other thing that I will tell you that I will be,
December's only when we typically only have one.
when we bring this to you for your vote. I'm also gonna be bringing you a new fee schedule, because as we're making these changes, there's some things that we don't currently charge fees for, that we don't do work for free. So we need to start adding some new line items into that fee schedule. So I'll be bringing a fee schedule to you, updating some of the fees that haven't been updated in decades, and then adding in some new fees for the things that we're adding to this, so.
So we need to let the public know what the changes are. We
Yep.
have to have a second reading,
Yep.
and that's a hearing. Right?
No, the public hearing has already been satisfied.
They
No,
use the public comment.
it's just, you can open it up for public comment, yes, they can come in and speak for whatever for it, but we can, once I go back and make these changes, I think the cleanest way to do it is to make all of these changes and then clean the document up, not have all the track changes in it, so people can read a clean document, and we'll do the memo sheet to it, and then we'll put those out. I'll get with Jessica, and we'll get it put out on the website, by the first of the week.
Just back up, I mean, so everybody's good with the ADU situation? And
Half the
that's-
size, not, minimum and a half size, but there's no second home.
But you said that carries into the.
It's in all the
stuff.
R districts too, and it's in there now, I mean, it allows them in the R districts now, but, you know, as you get into some of the small, you know, I won't even say smaller lots, the minimum lot size is 1 acre across everything, so 1 acre is still enough to have one. We don't get into anything any smaller than that. Other than if you have any of these half-acre lots that are in the R2 or the R4 because they're on sewer, if we get into those, is a half acre big enough to have a second dwelling and all on it? That's, you know, the only concern is you do have some existing stuff that's out there that may be smaller than what the ordinance allows today, that they would be entitled to one if they can get their septic permit, if it's on septic. Because there are some half acre lots out there that are septic.
Good for,
Yeah.
I got a question. This happens, you know, we've been here just a few days anyway, on board, but back in the day, people used to have to ask to put in something they could stay in to take care of their elderly parents till they died. Okay? I remember somebody moved a mobile home in, and we approved it. But they were supposed to take this out after that parent passed away. Any of that ever happened? You have no
Yeah.
idea.
There is a provision in the ordinance for, you know, allowance for a hardship, you know, to have, you know, there is a provision in there, whether any of that stuff was ever gone back
Enforced.
to.
That's the problem with a lot of stuff that we put in place, is how
a
it's
lot of
enforced.
conditional stuff, when you put conditions on stuff, who's gonna go back and check that?
That's cool, that's what leads me to concern with ADUs. I mean, how, look, we, you know, let's just be honest.
You wanna go R1 and what?
Right, we struggle a little bit with, just getting people to comply with our current ordinances. We changed the ordinance, I mean, so we got an ADU, and this makes renting, we got in there, well, you're not supposed to rent it. So obviously, those are gonna be, we're gonna find about those when people start complaining. And then we're gonna have to perform an investigation, and, well, from a legal standpoint, I don't even know how we could,
We don't, whether you,
with ADU, you can't rent them. It could be, if you got 3,000, 1,500, not supposed to rent it, but how would?
I don't know how you enforce that, I mean, you know,
Well, I mean, you enforce it the same way you enforce everything else, it's complaint based only, and once you find out about the complaint, you go out there, you have a conversation with the property owner, they don't come into compliance, you write them a citation, it goes to magistrate court, just like every other.
You gotta prove that, I mean, from a legal standpoint,
Well, and I was thinking about this the other day, you know, I read that part. So someone might go to ADU because they want their in-laws or whatever to live there, and then they pass away. Now I have an ADU. Well, yeah, what am I using it for? And so the logical answer would be, well, I could make some money on this, right? And I'm like, how do you, how do you tell them no? I mean, you can tell them no in the law, but is that where we want to be?
Well,
I mean, I think where we want to be is we don't want everybody building ADUs and renting
That's
them out,
right,
right?
that's right.
so we got the language there, so the first complaint needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
But.
We don't want to create a rental
But
industry.
then if I have 50 acres, I don't want the county to tell me I can't build another structure on it, put my children or my mother-in-law or a buddy that I just ain't got nowhere to go. If I mean, so, I don't know. But if I got a 3,000 square foot house on 5 acres, I can build a 1,500 square foot. But if I own 50 acres, I can maximum I can build. So I don't know. I would, and I don't want to go recreate wheel here, but shouldn't it have been sort of more towards acreage than house size? I mean, shouldn't that have a factor in that?
The hardest thing with that is if I've got 50 acres, I can subdivide a 5 acre tract and I put build another house on it. If I got 5 acres, I can't do that. If I'm needing to go over the 1,500 square.
Right.
You know.
Just another thing I gotta go see the county about.
Well,
You know, to explain to people a bunch of stuff that they don't even know what.
I do worry about people building a separate structure and Airbnb it. You know, I remember one lady, she's in James's district. We approved her to move a studio into this place. She was painting, she was gonna have classes. That lasted about a minute, and she Airbnb'd it, still does. So.
I don't think we're going, I think this, I don't, yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you don't let you get caught up in small stuff. I keep telling myself that, because we can create a billion rules, but if we can't enforce it, 100 of those billion rules, we're just spinning our wheels.
That's right.
Do you want to tie it to acreage, like, it could be an
Well,
R1.
I'm just asking you guys, I
You
just
could
don't know, is
be, you
it
could
fair?
say,
I mean,
you could say, hey, you can have it in AR, you can have it in R1, but you have to have at least 2 acres in order to have ADU.
right, because he brought up a thing on small lots, and then my thing, if you got a bigger lot, his thing is, hey, you can subdivide it. It needs to be defined, absolutely. It needs to be, you know, we need to know what we can and can't enforce. And people need to know, they need to be able to see an ordinance and say, well, I can do this or I can't do this. But, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you know, I don't want somebody to have to come to the county every time they want to do something. I think that's a little restrictive, I mean.
Sure they're gonna have
And
to-
I'm saying that from a personal standpoint. I don't want to have to come to the county every time I want to do something with a piece of land I got. And if it's going to harm a neighbor or something like that, or devalue somebody, something. I don't know. And to answer my own argument, look, you know, I go back to that same old theory we've been saying the whole time. If you don't own it, you can't control it. And we got a lot of folks that want to, they have opportunities, just like we all have opportunities to buy land, but then, you know, if that person buys the land and they want to do something with it, and all of a sudden, all the folks that didn't want to buy the land won't tell you what you can do with it. And we got a lot of that. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy. I'm fine. Move on. I digress, and we'll move
Side
on.
table?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Intergovernmental agreement, here from judicial circuit.
Pete, go ahead.
So, I think Lonnie's been getting some heat from a few sources to try to wrap this thing up. As everybody knows,
Yes.
the other 3 counties have agreed to what has been presented to us. And after Lonnie and I have had an opportunity to really go through it and kind of pull out the good and bad of it, I guess my position, if I don't get a vote, is the general thing is it's based on population. Based on my research and my understanding of why they proposed it that way, I've kind of changed.
Population or caseload?
Caseload.
I meant caseload, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Caseload. I've kind of changed my position on it because I originally, and I think the chairman or at least several people were concerned with the way that was, the proportion. Number one, our amount changed, but also the way, they were breaking it down changed. But after I went back, did some research on it, started thinking about that, it really makes more sense to me to do it by caseload, but there's some things in there, the way they had it written, and I'm happy to point that out. I think we need to be careful how we do that, but as a general whole, I think the issue was how we were basing it. And I have come full circle and think that basing it on caseload is probably the fair thing to do. And the reason being, let me throw this one caveat out there, which it really doesn't matter, but the numbers that they give, I just find, they're based on what the clerk's offices in all the counties are giving them. I just can't, it's just hard for me to believe those are accurate, but there's no way for us, I mean, if we want to do an audit and that kind of stuff, there's no way to disprove it, so that's the reason I say it really doesn't matter. But, so, to oversimplify, if the bulk of the work or a good bit of the work that the judges are doing is in Upson County, why wouldn't our amount increase? It's, I think I did a fire department analogy to Lonnie. I mean, if there are more fires in Upson County and the fire department's having to come down here more, who should have to pay more, So, I just feel like, and it appears to be that's the way the state's going to. The only other thing I could find that based it on population was, I think, the public defender's contract somehow is based on population, which their whole budget's a whole nother story. So that's number one. I mean, I don't, it seems like the compelling argument to base it on caseload is probably fair.
It's just the validity of the caseload is the question.
Well,
yeah.
Here's another problem that we could have as well, or that we may want to look at, and I couldn't find the numbers on it when I was looking at it this morning, but what they did was we're 16.4% of Superior Court, we're 27% of juvenile court, and then it averages to 18%, and then we pay 18% of everything. If we could take the 16 times whatever the cost is for Superior Court, and 27% of what for juvenile, because the Superior Court
don't lump them together.
Don't lump them together, because Superior Court's got a whole lot more expenses, and we'd be a lesser percentage.
Yeah.
Right? I think if you did them aggregately and added the dollar amount together, you wouldn't be at 18%. You'd probably be less than that. It's kind of what my thoughts are. But
I think the other thing is you need to do like a 3-year average or something. Don't just take this last year.
We can't operate that way.
Yeah.
It can't be.
yeah, it says up and down.
I don't think that's a fair way to do it.
When Jason sent me the stuff, I mean, we would have gone up. So the other thing too, let me back up a minute. I think there could have been some information. We talked about transfer of information early on to me, and I was early on the job when we did this. Is where I kind of got, somebody said, look, it used to all be population and now they've changed it and we're getting, Upson County's getting hammered. Well, according to them, no, the original contract was the judges, that extra money we gave that the state took over, that was done on population, but everything else has always been on caseload. So their argument is, if we even use the caseloads from last year, we would have been up 33,000. They're asking us for an increase of 39,000 based on this new part here. So it's really, you know, if you went on the old way, you're still paying 33,000. So that's kind of the argument, is they don't understand why we're arguing when it's not that big of a change. It's really 6,000. We're like, no, it's 39,000. You know, it's more than 3,000. So that's kind of been where we at. But that's kind of where I want to say is, because I was initially like, no, I want it back to population. That's the way it was. But I think that was some misinformation that I received. So I think it was done on a kind of a hybrid and a caseload part of it. I don't know what cases or where they are. I think Lacey checked them, and the numbers that she got from Teresa were correct, you know, according to these. So I think that was fine. But
yeah, I think in there, I don't necessarily know that it defines what caseload is, which I think is something that you brought up, somebody brought up. In it, really, the administrative office of courts is where caseload, that's where like circuit split information came from. That's where we're gonna have to get that information. I mean, there's no other, I mean, you know, unless we, again, want to employ an auditing firm to go and.
Yeah, it just needs to be apples to apples, you
Yeah.
know, like.
But the other thing that concerns me is there's really no way for us to get out of this agreement other than the way it's written in section 2.2, I think it is. The majority of counties have to vote to allow you to get out of it. I mean, that would be a bad contract for us to end. There should be some verbiage that, you know, each county has the option to get out, say 180 days notice of, you know, the upcoming year or whatever, or some language to that effect. Because, and otherwise, I mean, whatever the number is going to be, I mean, it could just be crammed down your throat at that point. I mean, if everybody else's numbers are going down and ours are going way up, we're locked in. You know, it just really doesn't give us any way to defend ourselves, the way it's written. So I would definitely recommend some termination language to allow us, each county, to have the option to get out of it on their own accord.
kind of the question I have, Heath, is what are you getting from them, or have you talked to them, like, where are we now that they've all approved it and we haven't? So we're just paying the amount we did last year, and then there's gonna be a shortage. Would they have to file suit against us, the other counties?
Yeah, that's, well, as I understand it, if there is, currently there's no agreement because we have not signed it.
Yeah.
So, if we refuse to sign, then as I understand it, the Superior Courts would then submit the billing based on last year's breakdown, proportional. Which would then open the door for the other counties to sue us for whatever difference they contend, we're not making up. And obviously, I don't think we want to get in that position. I think there's an opportunity where we can kind of tweak this to, unless y'all decide that you don't want to do it by caseload. I mean, if you don't want to do it by caseload, that's definitely going to be a deal breaker, I think, for the other counties, or at least the Fayette County.
So, I mean, I think there needs, I think it's poorly written. I assume these were lawyers, but.
Actually, I don't think it wasn't me.
But I think there needs to be definitions, right? There needs to be consistency, right? And we need to have some, like you said, there doesn't need to be a lot of variability. It shouldn't change year over year. We should have some.
Like a 3-year average or something.
So, really what Judge Ballard and the team needs, they need their $39,000. Right? And I don't know if that's calculated into our village or not.
Well, it's just, it would be part of an overage. It's not calculated in it now, but it would be part of the contingency and the money that we're gonna have to make. But my only concern about that, Chairman, was we had, or not concerned, a good thing, y'all voted to give the judges the extra locality pay, but none of the other counties did that. So we're not paying that. So that was $20-something thousand, I think, was our part of that.
Yeah.
But because the other people never passed it, we've never paid that part. So you're going up a little 30 here, but you're technically saving 20-something on the other side, unless I don't think the other counties are planning on passing that, but I don't know.
Well, I was just gonna add,
Yeah.
it will probably come back around, I'm sure, but,
Yeah.
Be too late then.
Yeah, we're not currently paying that. We were, I think, the only ones that approved it, I think, on that, so. Did Pike approve it?
I think maybe.
Maybe Pike did.
I don't-
So, anyway, we funded them at last year's level, and their year started, when, July?
July was.
Okay, so, they're not broke yet, right? They need $39,000
Over the year.
over the course of the year, so.
I think if we can get some of that language
Yeah.
tweaked and keep it caseload, I mean, I think that's where we go.
I can put that into an agreement.
Shoot it to them.
How's that gonna impact, the other boards have already voted?
Well,
They have to revote, right?
Yeah.
They have to reapprove.
Reconsider it.
Maybe they didn't think about it.
I
mean,
don't
to
say
me-
anything, I don't record.
Yeah, I mean, to me, engaging in any contract where you don't have the right, it's up to other people to allow you out. That's just, I would advise you against that as your attorney. That's definitely I would commit malpractice if I didn't tell you that.
Is it, so are we gonna withhold funding or hold funding at the current rate?
Well,
until
we approved that current rate, but they're gonna need the money at some point. I think we're gonna wind up having to give the money. The issue is the contract, you know.
And it makes it into next year's budget anyway, so it's not like you can't put it in.
Yeah, I don't think it, like, again, I just wanna make sure the juice is worth the squeeze, right? If we're gonna fight them, or we're gonna go through this process with all the other counties and the judicial circuit that we're, you know, or we were pretty willing to do the 20,
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean,
or whatever, 28 or whatever it was.
arguing
So.
over pennies at this point, which I
Right.
understand it's not all our money. I mean, it's our money
That's
as
right.
voters, but, in the grand scheme of things, as long as we have a way to, an exit strategy, if for some reason this thing, it turns sideways on us. You know.
I'll do the numbers based on the individual stuff. We do that and see if that makes a huge change in the number. If it doesn't, then we'll go with this, and I'll get with Heath on that.
Okay.
Then you work up something on getting us out of it and see what they say. I mean, if they don't wanna take it to the other boards, then I guess we got a choice.
Well, I'll wait, and if it's I'll wait until you give me that number and you
Yeah.
tell me.
I'll give it to you the next day or
Yeah, 'cause that might be a compelling argument.
That's what I'm saying, if it's not, say, look, if you went this way, where we paid 27% and then 16 or whatever, it saves us a lot of money, let me look at it. And then, let me do that for you, and I'll shoot it to everybody, and then you can go from there.
We want to pay our fair share, we just want to make sure we know what our fair share is.
I mean, I still go back to the case count numbers, man. It's, of course, I'll tell you all,
Okay.
All right.
All right, next item up, amendment to the county attorney's contract.
So,
This was,
you want me to leave? I mean, I'm happy to step out.
I don't know, does he need to leave? No, we don't have an
We don't
executive
mind
session.
slapping you.
This
I know
really
that.
has to do with,
That's
with,
part of the contract.
with the extra duties we asked him to take on with the planning and zoning, board. When he had given us a rate on that, we had discussed it, I think, $2,500 a month. My problem is my staff without a new contract, it's not,
Yeah, Lacey's really the one that's spurring this.
they don't pay it, let's
She's
send the
doing her
contract.
job, she's like,
So we
I
decided
haven't
to
seen
amend the
anything in writing.
contract.
Can you do that? I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So the only other change I think you had added in there, Heath, was a couple of months' notice if we were gonna terminate your services.
Right.
That's really the only difference.
Yeah. That's it. There's no pay increase other than, well, there's no pay increase as to what y'all been paying me.
Right.
It's just putting it in writing, so Lacey will pay me.
And then, like I said, there was a 2 month or 3 month, I can't remember which.
3 months.
3 months notice if we were going to terminate his services, we could pay the retainer for 3 months, which is.
Even with cause.
No.
No, with calls and fees.
If I'm negligent in my duties.
Right.
I can be terminated.
Anytime.
Hey,
It's
come
just
back.
if we decide to make a change for some reason.
I think that's typical, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I don't have any issue with I mean,
Sounds good.
we can vote on it a different one, but,
We want to
we
put it on
can-
the consent,
Yeah.
consent
Put it on
agenda
consent.
next
yeah,
week.
just put on
Is
this.
it in there? No, I have to check. I think I did it just like we did it before, because before we did a 3-year, and I did that. My agreement at that point in time was I would not ask for any type of increase during that 3-year time period. And I don't anticipate anything like that. I'm happy to put that language in there if y'all want, but I think it read it would renew for 3 years, and then after that, annually, unless.
Make a change.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right?
I think it's being at the end. Y'all hungry?
Tired, hungry?
Okay,
I know, right?
that was it. Is there anything anybody need to put out before we?
Well, but I want to ask a few questions, okay? I've been talking to Lonnie about this, and now that I got the lawyer sitting in front of me, and I know there's probably nothing we can do, okay? Probably nothing we can do. Railroad cut a crossing up there at Rest Haven Road 6 months ago,
Oh, yeah, at least 6 months.
and they've never paved it back.
They got a load of gravel sitting there,
Yeah.
and they'll go throw a little gravel on
Yeah,
every now
it's
and
got
then.
gravel on it, you know, and Lonnie's called them several times.
Multiple times.
So this is a county crossing?
Yes.
No state involved?
You turn right off of 36 up there past where Trey had the rezoning on that property, it's right up there on the left, going into the bars, well, again, on Lamar County, right there on the left. But the road cuts off right there, and that whole thing's just gone. They just took all the pavement out.
That DOT right away. It approaches DOT.
The project, yeah.
But, you know.
They're not really giving us, we're gonna get to it, we're gonna get to it. We got
DOT or the railroad?
the railroad, because it's their job to go back in and repave it. And at one time, he told me to close it. Well, my concern was if I close it, because those people can go out a different route. I said, if we close it, they're never gonna fix it.
They'll never fix it.
So we didn't close it, we left it open. And so I have called, are there any, I mean, I just think the railroad's so hard to go after, but Paul was asked if there's some legal ramifications that we can write them a letter or do something to.
DOT would probably be the easiest route. That is all DOT right away up to the railroad right away right there.
Okay.
So
Maybe they can make them do something.
But yeah, it's super nice. I mean, I called him,
County's on the other side,
Is
DOT's
this-
on one side.
What's
Chris,
the- What's the name of the railroad?
his
Rest
cable.
Haven.
Okay. I'm surprised they,
Oh, I've talked to him multiple times, he answers the phone, we discuss it, oh yeah, we're gonna get to it, and we're on the list, and then I don't ever hear from him. And then Paul gets more complaints.
The other thing is airport property. When they
Yes.
redid this crossing down here, all those railroad ties are stacked on
Our
airport
property.
property.
It looks terrible.
All those trees that they took down 2-3 years ago and piled up, they're on airport property,
And we can't get them to do anything about it.
you know.
I even called them, you cross that railroad wherever you want to.
code enforcement on?
There is,
Yeah, I don't know if you.
cross
can
that
do
property and
anything
look up and
with
down, there's railroad ties everywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, all up and down the railroad. And so I said, look, man, when are y'all, well, eventually we'll send a crew through there with an arm and they'll pick all that stuff up. I'm like, well, when's that gonna happen? Because I mean, if you just look at every railroad crossing, it's a disaster. And, so, I mean, I'm glad they replaced all that stuff, whatever they had to do, but they just piled it up and.
I mean, there's ways to pursue that now, it just depends on how
Well, I
hard
mean, you
you
know,
push them.
that's county property that they put trash on, you know.
Well, and I caught some guys down there one time, so I pulled up on them. Man, I'm so happy y'all cleaning this up. Oh, they're not cleaning it up, they were just here to get like 2 cross ties and go fix something else. So one thing I thought about was, I'll just get it cleaned up, and then their stuff would just be gone. But it was on my property. So I don't wanna get sideways with them, but I
I mean, that's railroad,
Give them the time frame.
Right.
railroads.
That's what I'm saying,
Federal.
maybe we.
yeah, exactly.
Send a letter on both of those situations. Or maybe we need to call a meeting with it.
Yeah, we probably just do
Yeah.
that. Say, look, we're just getting a bunch of complaints. Yeah,
Sit down with them.
Yeah, I got some commissioners asking.
Say, Max, don't make us do this.
Right.
All right, one other thing.
Yes, sir.
We ever got an update on the probate thing? I mean, they're still holding money and everything else.
Yeah, they are. I haven't heard anything, to be honest with you. Have you heard anything, Chairman? I didn't.
I mean, we don't even know how much money they're holding, right?
Well, I think we had to pay out some. I want to say it was 30 grand, 30-something thousand, I think that we had to pay out of money that they're holding, but we still had to distribute those cases where that money went, the way I understand it. So that's owed back to the general fund, I guess, is where Alan did it. I remember him telling me about it. I mean, it's on our books, but I don't remember, but yeah. I'll follow up, Chris. I can go, Chris.
I mean, it's been, what, a year and a half?
This ain't what you want to hear, but just from my experience at the DA's office dealing with the GBI, that there's a misconception that they have like 100 people up there on the finance team, and they really don't. I mean, they just don't have the manpower. I'm sure they're working on it, but a year and a half does not surprise me. I mean, because they probably got a report, I mean, telling you know what it's going to turn out to be,
But I'll check on it for you, see what I can come up with.
And then the last thing is, and I never knew it until the ambulance guy told us about, and I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, is the drug use in the county. That we're more than the other counties they service. Yeah, and, I don't know, we need to talk about it. You know, we need to do something different with a drug task force or something, you know. That's it.
Any alibis?
No.
Get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second,
All in
third. If you ain't out there doing drugs, you don't know it. You know.
Turn that. Ready to go?
You got it, Jared.